Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join us. We get together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, television, all types of good stuff. And we do have some good stuff to talk about here today. And also, if you're going to talk about good stuff, what makes it even better? Well, when Robert Meyer Burnett is under the roof, ladies and gentlemen. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, after last night's Monday Night Football game, watching the Jedi Knights of the Pacific Northwest trounce the undefeated San Francisco 49ers.
Trounce?
Hey, man, you know what? A win is a win. The last 4 seconds of the game, the Jedi Knights, they kicked a field goal to win what was one of the best football games I've ever seen.
They also needed San Francisco's guy to miss. But what a game. It was an incredible game. I loved watching that game. I was trying to work and running back and forth to my room where Ann was watching the game, and I'm running back and forth to catch. Oh my God, it was thrilling. And when I was telling you, when Russell Wilson threw that pick, and like in the red zone, I'm like, well, there you go. But then they got the field goal.
They stopped. 4 downs. They. You know, I have to tell you, I thought I would be constipated for the rest of my life because how clenched up I was watching that game. I was in pain, John. I was in pain until the end. I mean, you'd think they had it, and then they didn't, and then they had it, and then they didn't. It was a hell of a game. Both teams played some amazing. It was really like watching Jedi Knights and Sith Warriors just beat each other up.
It was a fabulous game. Listen, guys, speaking of fabulous, we have some fabulous things we're going to talk about here today. Number one, if you haven't already got a circle on your calendar, December 18th, 2020, there is a monumental showdown coming at the movie theaters for that weekend, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the films opening up this weekend. We're going to talk about this Fantasy Island trailer that dropped. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, we're going to talk about Mandalorian. But before we get to all that, let's go right off the top with this. Speaking of Mandalorian, of course, last night, Disney surprised us all, and they dropped Disney Plus earlier than we thought. I was getting ready for bed. Ann and I were laying in bed. I was just playing on my tablet a little bit, getting ready to go to sleep because I wanted to get up early at 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to get Disney Plus and to watch The Mandalorian. And just as we're about to fall asleep, Ann's like on Twitter, she's like, John, they're saying on Twitter that they just dropped Disney Plus. I'm like, no. We ran downstairs, popped it on, watched Mandalorian. It was great. And, you know, some people were worried that there was going to be some technical problems or some crashing when it launched. And there wasn't. No problems whatsoever. But it turns out that might have just been because they surprised everybody with when they drop it, because this morning came news that there are a lot of people experiencing some quote-unquote technical difficulties with the new service. And this morning, as a matter of fact, you know, there were people putting up, tweeting out. Now, Disney has responded, and they put this out. They said, the consumer demand for Disney Plus has exceeded our high expectations. We are working to quickly resolve the current user issue. We appreciate your patience. You know, there's a part of me, and then, of course, they're sharing some tweets of people having difficulties trying to get onto the service and stuff like that. There's a part of me that is a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, Rob, that wonders if... Look, Disney knew this thing was going to have a huge onslaught at first. Maybe that's why they dropped it early, to kind of spread out the initial rush for it. Part of me wonders, did they just orchestrate this service outage to create this huge buzz and story? Maybe, maybe not. But I will tell you this, though, Rob. This morning, Ann and I got up and we decided to, let's explore the Disney Plus interface a little bit. And now the front page for Disney Plus for me this morning works fine, the front page. But the moment we tried to click, you know, near the top, they got Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel, whatever. Whenever I tried to click on one of the main sections, the header would come up and then no content would load.
Right.
We tried it for Star Wars, got the little intro thing with the planet and the shadow of the Star Destroyer coming over, but then it would freeze out. Tried it for Marvel, get all the Marvel characters at the top, it would work and work and work, and it would freeze out. And so even I was experiencing, so I couldn't really get around. Although we did watch that delightful short film that's on there from Pixar called Float. If you haven't watched it yet, jump on Disney Plus and watch it. It's actually rather delightful, and wanted to see it because it's got a Filipino character in it. So there you go. So people were experiencing these problems. Rob, did you have any difficulties last night when you were accessing it for the first time? Have you noticed any problems today, even if you tried it today?
Oh, yes. So last night I went on via the internet, on my computer. No problem at all. I watched The Mandalorian twice, and I probably spent 2 hours exploring it. There are things that they did not tell us about Disney Plus that I was blown away by. First of all, the Star Wars movies are available in 4K, Dolby Vision, and Atmos. This was something they did not announce. By the way, those aren't the only movies that are on 4K, but for anybody who's collecting physical media or knows anything about Star Wars, they've not been available in 4K. The scene with Greedo in the bar in Mos Eisley has been changed yet again. I don't want to say what it is. You can go look at it yourselves. Dumbo, the original Dumbo, has not been altered. And it says, and I could not believe this, it says in the description that Dumbo may contain antiquated cultural, I don't know what the actual terminology they said.
Antiquated is a good word.
Yeah, they said like antiquated cultural term. Basically what it said was, this film might have elements that you might find offensive because of the time it was made. I thought they were going to alter like the scene with the Black Crows. They have not. And I couldn't believe that. And look, that doesn't mean we're going to get Song of the South anytime soon, but they actually have been listening to social media. They have done things that really impressed me. And I love the interface. Dude, when I finished Mandalorian, first of all, when the credits finished, boom, you might like Empire Strikes Back. That popped up. So I just started going through the Star Wars movies. You could scan through them almost instantaneously. The functionality was incredible. I even watched a little bit of Candle Shoe. I watched X-Men, the animated series. I watched Days of Future Past, episode 1, not the whole thing. I was just zinging through it all. And it is, in my mind, a physical media killer. Now, this morning, when I wanted to share it with Elizabeth, I wanted to see if my Amazon Fire Stick, if I could download the app. I could. Because it was not available. The Disney Plus app was not available via Amazon, the Fire Stick, last night at 11:30 at night. It was not available.
I was able to get it on Roku.
Okay, it was not available on Amazon, or it might have been before that, but I had read, somebody tweeted to me, try it on Alexa. So I said, please show me this morning, the Disney Plus app. Showed up, downloaded the app, could not get on. I set up my login. I could not get on. Once they allowed me to set up my name and all that, so I was in the app. Could not get anything. And then I got the Pluto and Mickey Mouse on the asteroid. It said this service is unavailable, but I was in the app, just not able to get any content at all, which is not surprising to me because when we were on last night, the world hadn't realized The Mandalorian was available, and now everybody woke up with the expectation that it was on. And by the way, interestingly enough, on the Disney site last night, it was still counting down to their 3 in the morning launch.
Even I was literally watching it on my TV, and I had my tablet like there's still the countdown clock.
So they dropped it. I mean,
little misdirect there.
They dropped it at least 4.5 hours early.
Right.
And I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great, but they do need to get these problems fixed because you want people to have that good first experience and stuff like that, and getting messages like this. Unable to connect, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure they'll get this worked out fairly quickly. They want it to get worked out quickly. I was impressed with the interface, at least when I was able to use it last night. So let's see how quickly they get these problems solved here. The question now is, guys, have you had a chance to download, get on, and play around a little bit with Disney Plus? If so, were you experiencing some of these service outages and stuff like that? Did you have a perfectly fine experience? What were your experiences with it? Jump down into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down out of the way, let's move on to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to our first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Gina Tapilo, who writes, "Hey John, what's up? I am so excited for this weekend. The Good Liar and Ford v Ferrari are opening, which are two of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of excited to see the new Charlie's Angels. Well, at least somebody is. I know you didn't love the trailer, but I thought it looked like it could be a lot of fun. Which do you think will be the best movie of the bunch, and which will win the weekend box office? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, there's a lot coming out this weekend, a little bit of something for everybody this weekend as we look at what's coming out. Now, as far as asking the question of what's going to do best and what's going to be best, right now I have not seen The Good Liar yet. I have not seen The Good Liar yet. And I'm hearing it's good, but I'm not hearing like top 5, top 10 best movies of the year sort of things. So I haven't seen it yet, but that's mostly what I'm hearing. I have seen Ford v Ferrari, and it is one of the best films of the year. I've got it in my top 5 right now. I think I've got it in my number 4 spot right now for best films of the year. It's outstanding. Absolutely love it. Charlie's Angels, look, I think the trailers are bad. I love Elizabeth Banks, but I don't have a lot of faith in her as a director just yet. I'm hoping she gets to turn that around. So I don't have a lot of faith. But as far as box office goes, well, at least we know this. This is what we're seeing as far as projections go. Ford v Ferrari is projected right now. They're guesstimating somewhere it's going to make around $32 million. Whether it does, exceeds it, or comes short like Dr. Sleep did, we'll have to find out. The Good Liar, not surprisingly, because of the subject matter and stuff like that, it's not getting a huge swath of the movie-going audience out to go see it. Right now, they're projecting somewhere around $7 million. I think it'll exceed that. I think it'll exceed $7 million personally, but we'll see. Maybe not by much. Charlie's Angels. This one surprises me. Because if you had asked me to guess, my guess would have been probably 15 million for Charlie's Angels. But right now they're saying they're projecting somewhere around 30. So the projections are at least telling us that Ford v Ferrari will come first, which I do believe. I do believe Charlie's Angels, despite the fact that I don't think it'll make 30, but hey, it might surprise us. I do think that's going to come in second, and I do think The Good Liar. As far as quality goes, I've already seen Ford v Ferrari. I think that's going to be the top one. The second one will be The Good Liar, and somewhere way down there will probably be Charlie's Angels. But who knows? Maybe it'll surprise us as well. Rob, you're looking at the weekend that we've got laid out in front of us here. Ford v Ferrari, The Good Liar, two really good-looking films. And, of course, Charlie's Angels. Which one do you think is going to get the biggest audience to go out and check it out? And which one do you think is going to be the best film of the weekend?
Well, first of all, it's nice that people are excited about movies and that we're seeing two films that are going to gross hopefully in excess of $30 million. I'm very excited for Ford v Ferrari. You've already seen it. I was going to go with you. I couldn't go with you because I had to work. One of my most eagerly awaited films of the year. So I think it's going to take the weekend. I really do. I think people are going to go see it. I think it could be, sons and dads are going to go. Maybe the ladies will go too, because there's a lot of people that do like NASCAR, things like that. And this is such a famous story. Two powerhouse actors, James Mangold coming in, meat and potatoes filmmaker, always knocks it out of the ballpark. Whether you like his movies or not, they always deliver something. So I'm excited. I'm excited that two adult films are coming out. I can't wait to see The Good Liar. Almost as much as I want to see Ford v Ferrari. The first time we ever saw, again, thank you, CinemaCon. The first time we ever saw
that's right.
footage from that, I remember you and I being like, wow, that looks really good. And Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren have never been in a movie before. Two actors I've loved for years. They look, it's a Hitchcockian thriller, double cross.
That's the best description I've heard. It feels very Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
Right? I've never quite known how to describe how it feels, but that's exactly the way to describe it.
Yeah, and I look at this and I'm like, look, Charlie's Angels is not a movie I'm going to run out and see in the theater. I'll admit it. I'm not going to go. But I would catch up with it later because I like Elizabeth Banks a lot, and I love to see her burgeoning directing career take off and writing career as well. So, but I just think Good Liar and Ford v Ferrari are two adult movies that are not franchises. As we pointed out, they're original films. You were pointing out on the show yesterday how many original movies are coming out. This is some great cinema. And if you want to have escapist fare, you got Charlie's Angels too. I think it's a great weekend at the movies, and I'm really excited.
I'm not going to lie. Aladdin makes me a little bit more interested in seeing Charlie's Angels because I'm jumping on the Naomi Scott train. I mean, really, after seeing her, I've always liked her. I even liked her in Power Rangers.
Right.
I even thought she was pretty good in Power Rangers, and I loved her in Aladdin. So I got to admit, I'm at least a little bit curious for that.
Dude, she's got the stuff. And I don't mean she's just
she's got a movie star quality about her.
Yeah, she's not just a beautiful woman, but she's got that ability to create characters where you're like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, and she's got a natural charisma about her
Yes.
that it's really fun to see.
She's a real movie star.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be neat to see if they can do anything with this Charlie's Angels thing. Question is, guys, what do you think about the looks of this weekend? Which film do you think will be the best? And which film do you think will get the most people's attention to go out and see it this weekend? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to our second main topic today. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Julio Martinez, who writes, "Hi, John and crew. Love the show. Thank you so much, Julio. Have you seen the trailer for Fantasy Island by Blumhouse starring Michael Pena? It's a dark take on the classic TV show. Looks pretty interesting. What are your thoughts? It definitely got my attention." All right, thanks a lot for that. And listen, we've known for a while that a Charlie's Angels, that a Fantasy Island movie was coming. I still remember when they announced that Michael Pena was going to be playing the famous role of Mr. Rourke, although they pronounced it differently in the trailer. Roark or something. I don't know how they said it. Maybe I always just said Mr. Rourke. Anyway.
It is Mr. Rourke.
Of course, made famous by Ricardo Montalban. We got Michael Pena. I thought that's an interesting choice. I didn't realize we were this close to a trailer coming out.
Me neither.
And so the trailer drops and kind of catches me a little bit out of left field and a little bit off guard. This is not the movie I thought they were going to make. I know it's Blumhouse, but I thought, Blumhouse is going to stretch a little bit and do something a little different. Because especially when they announced Michael Pena was playing Mr. Rourke, I thought, okay, we're going to get a fun kind of revisit of an old 70s and 80s show whenever Fantasy Island was out, and it's going to be kind of fun and blah, blah, blah. And this took a totally different turn than what I was expecting it to be. And you know what? Sign me up. I'm on board for this. I like the trailer. And you know what? Really, when you think about it, because, I mean, look, as far as TV watching age goes, Fantasy Island was a bit before my time. But my mom would let me watch reruns of it and stuff like that. And I remember a couple of them would get a little dark, right? And this whole idea, I love what they just said in the trailer. It was like, wait a minute. This isn't about our this is about us fulfilling somebody else's fantasy. I mean, it turns it all in its ear. And I got to tell you, I loved the surprise of it. Surprise in that it looked like something like I did not think it was going to look like. I was intrigued by this movie before. This trailer has now officially made me excited for the movie. So yeah, I'm fully on board with it. Rob, you had a chance to look at it. What did you make of it?
Dude, I'm right there with you. I was very intrigued by this trailer. I grew up every Saturday night before I could go out anywhere because I was too young to drive. I watched the 1-2 punch on Saturday nights of Love Boat and Fantasy Island. And the Love Boat and Fantasy Island, people laugh about the Love Boat, but both shows were structured. They had multiple stories in one episode, and you followed. And I love storytelling. And I looked at the Love Boat as sort of a romantic version of Twilight Zone, even though it wasn't. And Fantasy Island was more Twilight Zone. But I loved Fantasy Island. I thought what they have done with this was clever. It was interesting. It reminded me it might have a little bit of a Cabin in the Woods vibe. Maybe. I don't know. But I think the idea of where they're going with this was really interesting. And again, for me, it's always about the sort of the intellectual hook. If you're going to make a genre movie, how is this different than any other genre movie I've seen my entire life? And this looks really interesting. The idea of Fantasy Island and maybe a supernatural element or an element we don't understand, I'm totally in. And there are two things about this trailer I don't know who did this, but the trailer begins using Pino Donaggio's music from Brian De Palma's movie Body Double, which is one of my, it's a weird piece of music. I love this piece of music. I was like, oh my God, who decided to do that? I mean, that was an ultimate deep cut. And then at the end, you heard this little ting like do, 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 which was the Fantasy Island theme. And I'm like, all right, the people that made this movie, they're like, we're not going to go back and do Fantasy Island. The Malcolm McDowell Fantasy Island didn't last very long. So they're like, how can we do this differently? I think this is exactly what old franchises can use. Look, this could be terrible. But like you said, I'm in. I was excited. I watched this trailer twice. I showed my girlfriend, Elizabeth. I'm like, look at this. And I count me in.
Very different tattoo.
Yeah.
Very different. And it's, the girl from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
How creepy did she end up being? Like, seriously, I'm like, holy crap.
Like when she turns and looks
and just still has that smile.
And then the last shot of her with the blood coming out of her nose, I'm like, oh, I'm in.
I'm on board. You're right. This is a movie that could very easily break bad really fast. I mean, this is a movie that could get real messy really fast, but I'm on board right now.
You know what it reminded me of, though? And it has nothing. It reminded me of Escape Room that my friend Adam Robitel directed. Now, the whole thing about Escape Room is, to me, it's a movie that has what I call impossible premise. Like, you're watching and you're going along, you're like, this is pretty cool. But when it's over, you're like, there's no way anybody could possibly have built all of this, like built the escape room. Like, none of this could actually have happened. So by the end of the movie, I'm like, I liked what I saw, and it was really well done, but I don't believe it. I hope Fantasy Island doesn't turn out to be that way. I hope, like,
but you said there's a supernatural element to it, and I think there was in the show. You know what? I'm gonna go on a thing right here. You heard it here first. By the end of Fantasy Island, you're gonna find out this is a shared cinematic universe with Lost. This is the island from Lost. And just on the one side, they have a Caribbean getaway
Wouldn't that
place.
be interesting if, like, Mr. Rourke figured out a way to get to the Lost Island and just decide, you know what? I'm going to build a resort on this island because who knows what's going to happen.
Question here is, guys.
I love that idea. John pitched that as a new show.
Cinematic universe.
Oh, my God.
Listen, guys, question is, did you have a chance to watch this Fantasy Island trailer? Did you like it as much as us? Or are you like, guys, are you crazy? That didn't look any good at all. What did you think about it? Jump down to the comment section below.
That's the ultimate pitch, John. They build a resort on the Lost Island.
Sold. That's what they did in Gilligan's Island. Remember, they made a Gilligan's Island years later? All right. Let's move on now to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today comes to us from Horatio G, who writes, "Hey, John. Okay. A little bit of a weird question because I'm writing this before Disney Plus launches, but let's pretend it already has, okay?" So clearly they wrote this yesterday sometime. "Wow, Mandalorian. What did you think about it? Did it meet your expectations?" All right. So, I mean, yeah, there's a $1 million question. The show we have been waiting for. John Favreau promising to bring, the gritty Western to the Star Wars universe with a semi-familiar face in The Mandalorian, a bounty hunter escapades, a lone gunfighter in the universe and all that kind of stuff, a who's who of great all-star talent lineup to direct various episodes and all this kind of stuff. It drops last night. Rob, you had a chance to watch this last night, and they dropped it earlier than we thought, just like they dropped Disney Plus. Let me ask you, what did you think about the first episode of The Mandalorian?
Okay, I watched it twice, back to back. I liked it. I really liked it. I did not, however, love it. And I didn't love it, and I'll say why I didn't like this. I have been a big fan of Dave Filoni and what they've done with the animated Star Wars. I like the Clone Wars series, the second Clone Wars series, more than you did, I think, and I've really enjoyed how the animated universe has done a great job of expanding the Star Wars universe in its entirety. That said, and I felt this when I was watching all of the action scenes we saw in the trailer, I think this was Dave Filoni's first time directing live action. He directed this pilot episode. John Favreau wrote it. I felt the direction he was a first timer. And while I liked how the action was staged, I thought it was shot. I don't want to say anything about what the scenes were. I just thought that Dave Filoni, clearly, he's going to get his chops. It started out, it's very serviceable, but I felt, to equate it to something, I felt like I was seeing a movie like Star Trek 3, which was Leonard Nimoy's first time directing. And I thought that the episode suffered just from pacing issues. As a film editor myself, I would have edited it a little quicker. And there were things about The Mandalorian that the character that I loved, but then they would undercut him for a little bit of goofy humor that wasn't goofy enough. And I thought it really felt like an animated episode to me. And I really thought it was the shot choices and the way it was paced felt animated. And I think that'll change. I think the show, can't wait to see Friday's episode. I really thought it was really intriguing. I love the lore. I love the world building, even though I would like to have seen maybe headers, what planets they were on or where they were going sometimes. But as far as an entry to the Star Wars universe, I really enjoyed it. It's short. If it was a movie, it would only be the first 40 minutes of a movie. But I really thought it was intriguing, and as a first episode, it hooked me, and I really loved seeing the Star Wars universe portrayed this way.
Let me just say this up front. I quite enjoyed it. To be honest with you, I really did. Now, let me talk about some of the negatives first, just so I can get these out of the way, okay? Number one, it was jarring how short it was.
Right.
Because, somebody wrote to me saying, John, if you go from the end of the opening credits to the beginning of the end credits, it's about 36 or 37 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just, I didn't know that because, when you hit play, you can see the time bar on the bottom right. I wasn't looking at that.
Me neither.
I just assumed it was going to be an hour-long episode. And hey, make the length whatever length you feel you need to make it. That's cool. I'm just saying it was jarring to me because I was just expecting it to be longer. That's all. So when it ended, I was kind of like, oh, really? That's the end. I cannot agree with you more about the direction of it, though, because you said something to me off screen, which I thought was completely relevant, which was, John Favreau, who's the one who came up with this, he really should have directed the first episode to set that tone. And I think there would have been some improvements because you're absolutely right. You can tell this thing was being directed much like X-Men Days of Future Past, which I didn't think was as bad as a lot of people made it out to be. You're watching it, you said, yeah, this feels like a guy directing something for the first time. And while Dave Filoni has directed animation before, I'm watching it, it's like, yeah, it does feel like it's being directed by somebody who is directing on a live action environment for the first time. And that has some positives, it has some negatives, whatever. There were a couple of creative choices. Again, we won't go into spoilers here, but you're right. A couple of things where you set him up to be this great badass of the universe, and then you do a couple of things for a couple of yuck jokes that kind of undermine the character a little bit. But whatever, it's fine. So there was that. I thought also as well, you meet a lot of the trailers take place in the very first 3-minute scene of the show. Like the first 3-minute scene of the show, you've almost seen in its entirety already because they really highlighted them in the trailers. And without giving any spoilers away, he comes across his first bounty. Oh my God, that character was annoying. That was an annoying character. And I was really glad we didn't have to sit with him for very long.
He felt like a character out of an animated show.
He did. And I think that speaks to where it really did. It felt like a live action Clint Eastwood Western, and then all of a sudden a very animated character was dropped in the middle of it. And it was a little out of place. There were a few other little nitpicks here and there, some pacing things, some whatever. But this is why I have been saying for years, do not give Dave Filoni a feature film until you give him some other stuff to cut his teeth on as far as live action stuff goes, whether it's a smaller movie or some episodes like this. And that's why I thought it was brilliant to have him direct some episodes of Mandalorian and why they're grooming him. I just, like you, Rob, I think they should have let Filoni direct they should have let Favreau direct the first one. With that out of the way, those are my nitpicks. All right. Those are my nitpicks. Particularly for a first episode, I thought this was quite strong for a first episode of a TV series. Because look, what's the thing the first episode's got to do? It's got to give you a sense of what is the world we're in, whether even if it's a regular television show. What's this world that this lawyer character is inhabiting? What's the world this galactic bounty hunter? So it gives you a sense of the world that you're in and gives you a sense of the people we're dealing with. And I thought on those two fronts, the first episode of Mandalorian did a very, very good job. I got a really good sense of, being on the outskirts of the universe, what this world, this post-Empire world was now like. I enjoyed that very much. I really did get a sense, despite those little gooby jokes they threw in there, I thought we were getting a real good sense of this Mandalorian bounty hunter is not one to be trifled with. And I got a little bit of sense of that, and they give you a little bit of glimpse of his background as well. Again, we won't go into any spoilers or anything like that. The action sequences were great. It felt, look, there's a lot of TV today that people say, ooh, this TV stuff is like movie quality, feels cinematic. It's like, no, it's good TV, but this felt extremely cinematic. Like from the opening shot, it felt very, very cinematic. And I remember it made me feel like the way I felt when I watched the first episode of Rebels. When I watched the first episode of Rebels, I was like, this is the first time in a long time that I feel like a piece of Star Wars content took me into that galaxy far, far away. And that is something that the first episode of Mandalorian really needed to do. And I felt like it did that. It brought me there. It made it feel like Star Wars to me. You know what I'm saying?
let me ask you a question. And this is something that I felt, especially seeing how it was cast. To me, I felt that what we just saw was a proof of concept for a show. That Favreau came in with this idea. Kathleen Kennedy said, okay, work with Filoni. And they shot this. This was a true pilot. Now, they did not have a green light to make this show. And this episode was showing how could you guys make a Star Wars show on a budget that wasn't huge. That's why we had interesting cast choices like Carl Weathers. It's not like these people had a lot of screen time. They cast really interesting people that probably didn't cost them a lot of money.
And by the way, how great was Werner Herzog?
Oh, I loved him.
How great was
But
Werner
he's
Herzog?
done voices in animated shows, so I'm sure Favreau could call him up and say, hey man, we are shooting a potential pilot for a Star Wars TV series. Who wouldn't come? And so this show felt like they were proving that they could make a live action Star Wars show that wasn't going to break the bank, that looked as good as a Star Wars movie. I mean, that's how my takeaway, and I expect that on Friday, I think the reason they're releasing 2 episodes in a week is because the next episode is going to say, okay, you guys like this little introduction to the idea and the world and where we're going. That worked. We thought it worked. You guys thought it worked. I think Friday's episode is going to be the one that goes, okay.
So you feel like this episode was the bait, the next episode's the hook?
Yes. That is exactly right. And I thought this was good, but I thought this was a proof of concept that we were watching that worked really, really well, because that's why Filoni, they let him direct, because look, if they were spending huge amounts of money, they would have demanded Favreau direct this.
And he will direct a lot of the
He
second
will direct,
seasons
but
to
he
do this
oversaw
idea.
it. It was his idea. And Kathleen Kennedy said, work with Filoni. And Filoni probably storyboarded this like an animated episode, made it like an animated episode. That's why we had there's one particular scene when the Mandalorian's trying to do something. Yeah. That was a little goofy.
For those of you who've seen it, you know the scene he's talking about.
Right out of an animated show. I'm like, but that's what they did. Kathleen Kennedy wanted to make sure that these 2 guys could do what they said they were going to do. And she was smart, and they did, and that's why we have this show.
And it works again with all the nitpicks that we're going over. Bottom line is this thing works. By the way,
it's fun. You watch it,
and it's fun.
I'm only being nitpicky because I was thinking about it. I watched it twice, but didn't it put a smile on your face the whole time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and again, it felt like it took me that world. By the way, quick little side note: we've mentioned Carl Weathers. It was a very small part in the first episode. Werner Herzog, small part in the first, but he was fantastic in it. The Nick Nolte character.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, while very awkwardly introduced, again, felt like an animated show, the way you did introduce
was
character
totally
in a
animated,
cartoon.
yeah.
It really did. I still dug this character. And it was clearly the Nick Nolte voice. But there's one thing, he pulls a Yul Brynner from King and I, that instead of, so let it be written, so let it be done, his little thing is, the one line that he says in this thing, and again, I won't give any context, is, I have spoken. I want to make a t-shirt that just says, I have spoken. That's like the new catchphrase for everything. I have spoken. It was great.
There are 2 other things that I really loved. Of course, the animated show, The Clone Wars, developed the Mandalorian lore.
Right, yes.
This episode goes into that a little bit, which I was like, wow, that's awesome. But I have to say my MVP on this one was IG-11. I loved seeing an IG, an assassination droid, whatever.
Bounty droid.
The bounty droid, the way he walked, the way he moved. I mean, we saw little bits of that in the trailer, but I loved the way they portrayed. I mean, we've seen animated versions, but seeing a live action version of this character, I love the way Taika Waititi voiced him. I hope we get to. Well, it was just. I loved how that character was portrayed, and that was a lot of fun.
It was great, and I'll tell you what. I already knew what the ending of the episode was going into it, and again, we're not going to give anything away. I knew what it was before I started watching it.
But what does it mean?
And it still had good impact. Well, we can't talk about that. All I'm going to say is that the ending, even though I knew what was coming, it was like, that's really cool. Like, it just felt really good. My wife had no idea what the ending was, and she was just beaming. Like, Anne was just beaming when the end of the episode came.
Dude, that final shot
was great.
Got me. I was like a little verklempt.
So a lot of good stuff. a few stumbles, I think, here and there. Look, this is what I put up on my Twitter. I said, I like this first episode. I didn't think the first episode was fantastic, but it checked all the boxes for me about what a first episode needs to do. And it did it. And it had enough really good stuff in there that I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday.
By the way, I have to say, there are other things in it I loved. Like, clearly, and things that sort of gave it away to me that it's a pilot. A lot of the aliens, familiar Star Wars aliens.
Sure,
a lot of droids, familiar Star Wars droids. But what I really loved, we'd seen it in the pilot, is the design of his ship. Because it's redolent of the Republic attack. What are they? The from Attack of the Clones, the Republic transports of the Republic. It
cruisers,
had that cruisers. The front of them was kind of the same. I really dug it. I mean, the design, the look of the whole thing, it was very familiar. It was all, in terms of its design work, it was all fan service. It was all stuff we've seen before. It was an amalgamation of, what's that?
First time ever in any Star Wars, anytime, we see, what does a toilet look like in Star Wars? We get our first look at it. It's like, I look at that. People in Star Wars use the bathroom, which I thought was kind of funny. Hey, listen, guys, just to let you guys know, we're not going into too many spoiler details. A little bit later this afternoon, of course, Christian Harloff and I have Dark Side, Light Side. That's going to be at 2 p.m. live this afternoon. We will be talking a lot about The Mandalorian and we will speak openly about spoilers as well. So if you haven't watched The Mandalorian yet, you might want to just watch this show later after you've seen The Mandalorian, because we will get into spoilers on Dark Side, Light Side later, a little bit later today. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right, question here then is, guys, did you have a chance to watch the first episode of Mandalorian? If so, how do you rate it? As a matter of fact, I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. And in today's question of the day, we simply asked you guys, we put this up just before the show started. Right now, a little over 1,000 of you guys have voted. Simple question was, how did you feel about the first episode of The Mandalorian? Right now, 65% of you are thinking it was great, 28% of you are saying it was okay, and 7% of you saying, you know what, it wasn't good enough for a first episode, and you're saying it wasn't quite good. So that's what you guys are saying right now. I'm going to leave that poll up for the next 24 hours, so go ahead over and vote on that if you guys would like. And yeah, guys, leave your thoughts below. What did you think of The Mandalorian? All right, before we get to the live questions, we've got one more main topic to cover here. And the next main topic today comes to us from Vic Knight, who writes, "Hey, John and gang, I know this is crazy. I know the Christmas season is becoming a real traffic jam for movies, but have you seen the December 18th, 2020 schedule? Opening on the same day is Dune, Coming to America 2, Steven Spielberg's new version of West Side Story, and the new Uncharted movie. Of course, Tom Holland's going to be in it. What the hell? I know it's a year away, but is there any chance all four of these movies will keep the date, or will one see greener pastures and move off? Thanks." Now, look, we had a version of this last year, right?
Yep.
Where we're going to have within like an 8-day window.
What did you call it? Murderer's Row?
Murderer's Row. We had like a 10-day window. That was this 10-day window where you had like 6 major films opening. Coming up in 2020, we got a new version of that, except it's all on the same day. We've got, again, the new Dune, which everybody is excited about. Coming to America 2, which especially after seeing My Name is Dolomite, people are really getting excited about Coming to America 2. We, of course, got the new Uncharted, and Steven Spielberg, the greatest filmmaker of all time, has his new West Side Story, a classic tale, and stuff like that. And not going to be a $1 billion film, but you know there's going to be a lot of people very, very excited about it. You got Tom Holland in Uncharted, all this kind of stuff. Huge cast for Dune, being led by Timothée Chalamet, who could be the next Daniel Day-Lewis. And I don't say that lightly, but this kid could become the next Daniel Day-Lewis. He's not there yet, but he could get there. Do I think there's a chance that all four of these open at the same day? Now, last time we had something like this, one film did have the good sense to move off that date, and that was Alita: Battle Angel. It decided to move off that date. It still struggled at the box office, making a little over $400 million, but I think it did better than it would have if it stayed in the Murderer's Row. On the one hand, when you look at this list, there is some counter-programming going on here. Dune is very different from Coming to America, which is going to be very different from West Side Story. Mm-hmm. Once Uncharted gets in there, it gets a little bit more muddled because Uncharted could easily tap into the Coming to America audience and could also tap into the Dune audience, so it gets a little bit convoluted. I'm going to say this. I do believe one of these films will move off that date. I don't think multiple will. I think one of them will move off that date. Right now, I got to say, I think one that is a guaranteed lock to stay, and watch, it'll be the first one to move. But what I think right now is the guaranteed lock one to stay is West Side Story. I just feel like the studio feels like that's the right type of date for this movie. I think Dune's got a decent chance of maybe up and moving. I think Dune's a movie that could do well on many dates. Coming to America, a simple comedy, that could release anytime. So the only one I feel really good about staying on their particular date right now is probably West Side Story, and any of the other three can move. But I do think one of them will move. I think one will move between now and then. Rob, do you think one of them will move? Do you think they'll all stay in the same place? And if they do you think any are more likely to be the one that moves or more likely to be the one that stays?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think one of them, one if not more, probably just one is going to move. I think you're absolutely right. West Side Story, I think, is a lock. I also think Coming to America is a lock because those two films don't really cannibalize each other's audiences.
They're vastly different.
And Dune, being that it's a big sci-fi epic, what's really interesting is this is the same season that the original Dune, well, David Lynch's Dune came out in 1984. It came out the holiday season as well. So that's kind of fun. But I think Dune could move maybe up to Thanksgiving. I mean, it really depends from a production standpoint. And I think Uncharted probably is the most likely person to move because, well, I mean, I know it's a video game adaptation. I guess it depends how good it's going to be. But I don't see, like, the holiday season, the holiday movie-going season does not scream Uncharted to me. You know, it's but maybe, I mean, that seems more like a summer movie. But, hot, sweaty, jungle environments. Maybe they're trying to counter-program the holiday season with a summery type film. But I don't know. I just see Uncharted probably moving.
So the question here is, guys, what do you first of all, if it does also, I'm spending a lot of time in the theater that
Yeah, they're
day.
all movies I want to see.
I want to see all of these movies.
Yeah.
But guys, what do you think? Do you think there's a chance that, first of all, do you think they're all going to stay? They're just all going to stay there? Do you think maybe one of them's going to move? If so, do you have a particular one that you think that one looks likely that it will and that one looks likely that it won't? I want to know what you guys think. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that'll do it for all of our main topics today. Now, I wonder if people are going to want to talk more about The Mandalorian. We're going to go in and take your live questions. But before we get to your live question, guys, as we do every day, if you will indulge us for a couple of minutes, we're going to take just a quick short break here to stretch our legs, rest the vocal cords for a minute, refill our drinks, and then we will get right into the live questions. So if you guys will indulge, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a minute. We are back. Thank you guys for your patience and indulgence as we took a little bit of a short break. But now let's not waste any more time. The things you guys want to talk about, let's get over to the live questions. And we're going to start things off here with Mighty Tank One, who writes, I believe in faith, trust, and Disney Plus. Chris 2019. I love that. And I really do like the offerings they're giving us in Disney Plus. Inquired 305 writes, hey, Gio, you're the best as a baby face any heel turn. I don't know. I mean, it's a wrestling analogy, but I don't know exactly what it is you're asking. But anyway, thank you for that. Am I a babyface? Am I a heel? Who knows? Ivan Gonzalez just puts in cool. I love these little pear emojis. I don't know why. Alex Von Gollum writes, hello there. One of my favorite scenes in Return of the King is when Aragorn, after having gotten the news that Frodo was dead, quote unquote, immersed in helplessness, he still charges again the enemy, shouting for Frodo.
I love that too.
Listen, look, we talk a lot here on this show about these incredible scenes in the Lord of the Rings films, particularly in Return of the King. I'm sorry, this movie's better than your favorite movie. I like how John Oliver puts it. I don't know if you ever saw John Oliver's expose on professional wrestling. No. John Oliver's got this great line. He goes, I'm sorry, wrestling is better than the things you like. It's amazing. Return to the King, like whether we're talking about the things with Theoden or whether we're talking about all these incredible dramatic moments, this is the movie that I think people need to remind themselves that if you want to make great genre content, you don't have to choose between making a geeky movie and a high quality movie. You can do both. It ain't easy. It's damn near impossible. But the Lord of the Rings films prove you can do it. So much so, and like those people, the Academy, guess what? All three Lord of the Rings films, all three of them were nominated for Best Picture. Return of the King won Best Picture, and no other film in cinematic history has ever won more Academy Awards than Return of the King. And it did it because it earned all of them. It earned all of them. You can do great geek material and make it incredibly high quality at the same time. And that is the lesson I take away from Return of the King. I don't know if I've ever asked you, Rob, do you have a particular favorite moment or scene in those movies? Like, to me, it's still when Aragorn gets down on a knee and says, my friends, you bow to no one. That's one that still gets me. What about you?
Dude, there are, I'm getting chills because, I worked on the special features for the first two, and I was immersed in Lord of the Rings. I was in New Zealand. I was immersed in those movies for years. And
I keep forgetting that you worked on that damn project.
Even being immersed in those, I love those movies so much, but there's so many, I can't even... there's a scene before they go into the mines of Moria, and it was extended in the Fellowship of the Ring. It's an extended scene where Boromir is talking to Aragorn, and it's by the water's edge, and about there's good in the world of men and all that, and it's just a scene where two dudes are talking about the situation, and Boromir is really sticking up for mankind, and it's such a great moment. It was cut out of the theatrical, but it's in the extended version. And after what happens, knowing what's going to happen to Boromir, it's even more poignant.
I love the Boromir character so much.
Yeah, and it's just those movies are such a. For me, a lot of people are like, well, what about Tom Bombadil? He was cut out of the film. No, those movies
that needed to be cut out of the film.
Those movies are such a great distillation of what Tolkien wanted to do, but also they worked on those movies and they changed those movies because Peter Jackson controlled it all up until the last minute, and it just is it's the ultimate realization of taking material and taking filmmakers that loved what they were doing, that would not compromise, that pushed it until the very end to make it as good as it could be. And it truly had the authorship of Peter Jackson behind it, but also everybody that worked on those films. And every time I watch them, dude, I'm astonished how well they work. I mean, they take you on this journey. One of my favorite scenes in any movie is when they light the beacons. When they call Rohan, they call for Rohan's aid.
Gondor calls for aid.
Gondor, and it's not even a. I think about it now. I'm getting chills. But when you see the camera pans up and you see the beacons light and the Howard Shore music that comes up, I'm like, I get all like, I wish we lived in a world where other countries would come to the aid of Gondor. You know, I wish we lived in that world where if there was a country like Gondor and they needed someone's aid, the beacons would be lit and we would go help them. And I love that. It just gives me chills every time.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, let's keep moving on here. Murray Reich writes, what a dumb field goal kick. I'm sorry, that was terrible. LOL Niners. Yeah, but here's the thing. Remember, this was a guy who was just signed at the last second, who, by the way, that game wouldn't have even gone to overtime if this kid didn't come out with ice in his veins and kicked a 47-yard field goal straight down the middle to tie the game. So don't get mad at this kid for missing a field goal in overtime, which, by the way, was another 47-yard field goal. It's not like it was a 28-yard chip shot.
Right.
This kid got you into overtime. You didn't even deserve to be in overtime in that game.
They played that game for like 70 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a brutal contest. Talk about a gridiron.
It was a fabulous, fabulous game. Nathan Oswald writes, my comic book movie list today with X-Men 2 and Iron Man, I meant to say that list is a top 10 comic book movie of all time, not of the decade. Sorry about that. Because yesterday we talked about the top 10 comic book movies of the decade. Some people sent in some lists. It was like, well, you can't really put that one in there because that wasn't in this decade. But you meant yours as an all-time list. So, gotcha. Thanks for clarifying that, Nathan. Alex Von Gollum writes, Gio, regarding your new endeavor with Harloff, we will watch your career with great interest. Thank you, Palpatine. Keep bringing on the filthy yes. And don't forget again, today, second episode of Dark Side, Light Side. And then, of course, tomorrow, me and Robert are back with another episode of The Weekly Hero. Make sure you join us for both. All right, Jay Master. Thanks for that, Alex. We watch your career with great interest. Jay Master writes, a big shout out from Seattle to the Seahawks for their big win against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Hashtag go Seahawks. Over under 10%. The Seahawks played against the New England Patriots. I don't know what do you mean by that?
In the Super Bowl.
Oh, them in the Super Bowl again? Oh, I don't think the Patriots. I'll tell you straight up. I don't think the Patriots are getting to the Super Bowl. They simply look. They have a better defense now than they've had in years, but they've lost all their offensive weapons. Like, you can't lose all your receivers other than Edelman. You can't lose all of your weapons and then expect to get to the Super Bowl. They're playing great. They're tied for first place in the NFL, but I'm telling you, they are not going to the Super Bowl. I would not bet against Seattle. When they're hot, they're tough to beat. And Pete Carroll is a coach I've admired for a very, very long time. And so they are going to be very, very tough to beat. So, but no, you're not going to see Seattle and New England in the Super Bowl. What do you think, Rob?
I don't think so either. I mean, look, you know, they have to play San Francisco one more time. But if San Francisco is playing at this level and Seattle can keep it going, who knows? Yep. I just love seeing great football. That game yesterday was one for the ages.
It was a wonderful, wonderful game. I just wonder how you would feel if it was one for the ages had he hit that field goal and won the game. It might have been a very different outcome, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, Brian Esparza writes, pumped for The Mandalorian, but more for Fallen Order. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm not nearly looking as forward to Fallen Order as I am.
Doesn't that come out today?
Comes out today. I am getting it today. I'm going to be playing it today. If I enjoy it, I'm going to do some play-in chats with it. But, I mean, we'll see. I am looking forward to getting it. Brian said, will you do play-in chats with Fallen Order? It depends if I like it. It depends if I like the game. So let me play it a little bit first, and then I'll decide if I'll do some playing chats with it. But I'm definitely getting it today. Benny95. No, it comes out on Friday.
Friday, okay.
Friday is when it comes out. Benny95 writes, 7 more days in Australia for Disney Plus. Fallen Order in 3 days. It is a great month and a half to be a Star Wars fan. Because you got Mandalorian, then the game Fallen on television, Mandalorian. On game consoles and on your PC, you got Fallen Order, and then we got Star Wars Episode 9 coming out. It is a great month to be a Star Wars fan. All right, Joe Hill writes, I got to do the Avengers Damage Control VR experience yesterday, and it was incredible. Subversive, original cast voices, and fun in-universe story. Yet I believe this is done at Void. And Void is a company, and by the way, Rob, I don't know if you've ever gone to one of the Void centers, but there's one in the Glendale Galleria, right up the road.
Is that where they have the alien one?
No, but they have an incredible Star Wars one. Like an incredible Star Wars VR where you're going into the maze and you got the full VR thing. Anyway, they've got this new Marvel one, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. But you've never tried those ones yet, right? Dude, they're actually a lot of fun.
That's what I've heard. I was somebody else was telling me about the Avengers one. I really want to do it.
It's not cheap. Like the Star Wars one is like almost $30 for about 10 to 15 minutes, but it is really fun. It's really, really fun. You should try it out when you get a chance. All right. Anyway, Joe Hill writes, I also watched Anna, the Russian spy thriller with Atomic Blonde vibes from the summer. It was looking forward to it so much, but it was awful, sad. And they had so many things go wrong with that movie.
Yeah.
And so many things. They had a lot of off-camera drama that totally affected, and they pulled a lot of the marketing for it and all that kind of stuff. And too bad, because I thought the movie looked like it had a lot of promise.
I watched Red Sparrow recently, which I missed in the theaters, and I liked it.
I was a little let down by Red Sparrow.
Really?
I did not hate it. Didn't hate it. I just, yeah, it's a little hard for me to put into words. But I didn't dig it as much. I mean, it certainly has some highlight moments. All right. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Black Widow origin story. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised to find out that she was actually training to be a Black Widow.
Yeah, like they're in the same team.
Yeah,
same crew.
Totally felt like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. K Major writes, Fallen Movies will be the next Fast and Furious series. Fifth one is The Charm. The Rock The Rock is in it. That's right. Gerard Butler, they're going to bring The Rock in it for the fifth one with a sexy Latin song at the end. You heard it here first. Well, that would be one way to push it over the hump, because for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen, and then Angel Has Fallen. The Gerard Butler trilogy, epic trilogy, they announced yesterday that they are looking to make 3 more. Despite the fact that these films have not blown up the box office at all, but they're going to do 3 more. And I think you're onto something, K Major. Add The Rock in the 5th one, and all of a sudden you got $1 billion franchise. All right, Devin Mellinson just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Devin. Appreciate that. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, Real Steel starred Hugh Jackman as the lead with Evangeline Lilly as his love interest and Anthony Mackie in a small role. A proto-Marvel crossover hop. By the way, Rob, did you ever, I can't remember if we talked about, did you ever see Real Steel?
Yeah. And I liked it.
I enjoyed that movie.
It's a good movie.
Because I went in as skeptical as anybody's like, it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares? But I went and watched, that movie had way more heart than it had any business having. The relationship between him and the kid was great. It had a little bit of a road, even though it's not a road movie, it had a little bit of a road movie vibe to it. It just had so much real emotion and so much humanity to it. It was great. That movie ended. I'm like, I want another one. And I really, it did well financially. I've never said. My one big connection to the movie, though, I'll always be thankful to Real Steel for this. This movie came out back in the day when I still bothered doing press junkets. And at the press junket, I got to sit down one-on-one and interview Sugar Ray Leonard, who did a bunch of the fight choreography for Real Steel. That was a dream come true. That was awesome. And he talked a lot about MMA. He's like, MMA is the new sport, man. MMA is the but it was awesome sitting down talking. But if you guys have not seen Real Steel, take Angry Irish Benjamin's advice and check it out, because it's a really damn good film. Benny95 writes, is there a quality of standard we can hold films without being subjective? No. The Godfather, I can see, was a greatly made film story, etc., though not for me. No. There's just not. There's just not. That's the funny thing. Look, you can have a dramatic scene and one person can say, man, that just felt so real. But another person watch say, no, it didn't feel real to me at all. In Coming to America, Eddie Murphy can say a joke and one person will say, that movie's hilarious. Another person's going to not laugh at the joke and go, no, it wasn't. There's no, the only thing that's objective are the things you can measure.
See,
that's it.
Well, you know me. I have a different point of view. This could be a whole show.
It could.
But I would like to point out that whether or not somebody does in fact recognize a joke being funny, or whether or not somebody recognizes if a movie is good or not, that doesn't mean that the movie isn't funny or that the movie isn't good. The subjective experience that a person might have doesn't mean necessarily anything in terms of what the movie is. It just means their reaction to something, because
that's art. Art is all subjective reaction.
But there's also, I think, objectively great art that people have different experiences or different reactions to, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still great art.
It comes down to this for me. And this is the bottom line. Nothing is objectively true unless it can be scientifically measured by a standard. That's it. Like, you can say, we've had this discussion before. I've got a Superman. I don't know if I've got this camera set up. I don't. Let me see if I can bring this camera into shot here, just because.
But see, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm going to use my mom. My mom is the most unimaginative, pragmatic woman in the world. She wants reality to be reality. If I take her to a movie that has a flight of fancy in it, say Raiders of the Lost Ark, It's not going to work for my mother. She's not going to buy into a lot of it. However, that means she might not like the movie, but that doesn't mean Raiders of the Lost Ark isn't a great film.
No, but any more than you can say objectively that it is a great film. See, that's the thing.
But I think you can objectively say it's a great film.
And this is why I disagree. Like, Henry Cavill is standing there looking over both of us very protectively.
He's a very handsome man.
He's making sure we stay safe while doing
I love
the show.
this shot, by the way.
So you can say that this poster is 5 feet 11 inches. I don't know what it is. That's not a subjective experiential statement.
Right.
We can take a physical tape measure it, and prove. The only way something becomes objectively true is when it can be empirically proven. If it can't be empirically proven, then it's not objective truth. Objective means it's beyond, you can't debate it. It is what it is.
I'm with you, but I think we don't yet have the tools where we can measure aesthetics and how art affects people. And I think eventually we will. We will have actual tools, whether it's with AI or whatever, and we'll be able to measure the effects that certain things have on human beings, and you can actually have quantifiable data. We just don't have it yet, but one day we will, about how art affects people, and they'll be able to quantify these things. We just haven't measured them yet.
I completely disagree with that. Art is not a measurement. Art is about appealing to the human experience, and each individual will experience it differently. So even if you can measure things from people, let's say we both watch Godfather, and they set up data tempoids on our faces. You watch it and you liked it, and I watched it and I didn't. What's to say one was right and one was wrong?
Well, right, but ultimately there's other things that we can measure too, rather than just being right or wrong, and you can see how something affects people on a moment by moment basis.
But you agree it will affect everybody differently.
Oh no, absolutely. But
so
you
then
will,
how does that give us a standard?
Because eventually you're going to find out that after we measured 1,000 people, some of them might say they liked it and some of them say they didn't like it, but their brain waves or whatever, you can measure it and it'll be like 89% of people, based on whatever the criteria is, which I don't know yet, like this film, even though their conscious decision ultimately was that I didn't like it very much, but their brain waves and how it affected them will be measurable.
So you're telling me that you think that you put something on and your brain says one thing, but you felt another thing?
Yes. Okay, wait. Yes,
no,
I do.
Yes, wait.
I do think so because the way people are responding to things moment by moment, cumulatively might not be their overall answer. Because let's say somebody's watching a great film, but it puts them through an experience that they didn't like. But the fact that they were so immersed in that movie, so you could measure like these people were really into it, but they went through, whether it was a horror movie, whether it was a war movie, they responded to the movie because the movie's empirically great, but their experience wasn't so good. I don't want to see that movie again. Like people will see The Exorcist and go, I was terrified and hated watching that movie, but their brains will tell you that movie was so good that it led to their opinion of hating it because they were so terrified and so brought into it.
Here's one of the other main reasons why I disagree with that completely. Besides the fact that you can only say something is objectively true if it can be empirically proven beyond any shadow of a doubt.
I know.
So there's no debate. Now, you're also suggesting, though, if such a thing existed, every movie would then become made by formula. It's like, well, we need 15% of this, and then we need to add 7% of that. And
I think that's coming, and that's a real problem. I think that it's coming. We are going to see that technology advance in the next 30 years.
All right, I will give you the final word on that. For now, we got to keep moving here. Next one up comes to us from, and it is never going to, it's like the song that never ends. What is we're at here? We're at Angry Irish Benjamin writes, going to Le Mans 66 this Friday. Cannot wait. You are going to, but for those of you who do not know, that's in some countries, that's what the name of Ford v Ferrari is, because that title will have a deeper meaning for other countries than it does here. You're going to like it, Angry. I mean, who knows, but I think you're going to like it because I tremendously enjoyed this film. Benny95 writes, my mom sent the question about The Lion King and voice acting after your response. Appreciated the voice of Scar more. She says, thank you for that, and you're very wise. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. If I remember correctly, if I don't know if I do, somebody asked a question, Rob, about that they didn't know if Scar, Chiwetel Ejiofor as the voice of Scar worked. I was actually of the impression, and I've got a couple of issues with the new Lion King movie, I do, although overall I love it. My point was, I actually think the voice of Chiwetel Ejiofor in this live action looking version of Lion King was more applicable than maybe the Jeremy Irons voice would have been in this incarnation. Like, overall, the Jeremy Irons Scar is the better Scar in the 94
I think
version.
so, but he's an animated Scar.
Exactly, and his voice worked better for that, whereas I think Chiwetel's voice worked a little bit better for...
I totally get what you're saying.
Okay. And for some reason, I'm having a problem switching my camera shots at the moment, and I'm not sure why. Give me a second.
You just want to cut me out.
There we go. That's what brought it up. There it is. All right, but now I got to switch back off because we got the next question to get to. Benny95 writes, also hope the Mando was everything you hoped it would be. It wasn't everything I hoped it would be, but it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable, and it took me to that place far, far away again, and I cannot wait to see what they do with episode number 2. Captain Confidence Entertainment writes, any chance you or Margaret Meyer Burnett directing again, now that working relationships, resources, and fan base has grown, crowdfunded by us, what story would you tell? It's an interesting conversation that we don't have time to get to in depth here, but I'm not going to lie to you. There have been conversations that Robert and I have had in the past over, but for me, I don't know that I'm ever going to direct anything again. I find myself I think my talents lay better, and I find I enjoyed the creative process of producing more than I did directing. And I also enjoy writing. I actually really do quite enjoy writing, but I found I enjoyed myself as a producer more than I did as a director. I found directing very frustrating, to be honest with you. Although I learned a hell of a lot doing it. But that's me. Oh, Robert Meyer Burnett. Oh, you'll see him directing some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I desperately want to direct again. It's expensive, and I love the movie that I have coming out, Tango Shalom, which I produced and edited and now am post-supervising. I find that work very gratifying. Like you, John, directing can be frustrating. I love it because I love the social aspects of it and I love the designing of it. But I also really like producing and editing. I love working with a talented director and a talented producing team.
All right, next up here, we've got Benny95 writes, will Christian appear? By the way, guys, a lot of you guys misspell Christian's names. Christian is actually with a K, just so you guys know, not a CH. Anyway, will Christian appear on the John Campea Show similar to Robert and Meyer Burnett? No, never. You're never going to see, unless I someday change the time of the John Campea Show from a morning show to an afternoon show, because I go live at 9, Christian does his show at 10. And so as long as that's the schedule, you're never going to see Christian on the John Campea Show. It's just a scheduling thing, that's all. Willow Yang writes, how long does your popcorn last? Do you pace yourself so that you are eating it throughout a movie? I tend to finish mine within the first half hour. I'll tell you what, Will, and this is one of the stranger things.
This is one of the questions for the ages, by the way.
Yeah, and this is one of the stranger things about me, is that I always get popcorn. And because my stubs, AMC stubs, gets me a free upgrade for all my popcorn, so I can buy the small popcorn and have it upgraded to the large for free. I always get a large popcorn, and I never get more than one third of the way through it. I don't actually eat much of it. I usually only get about a third of the way through the bucket.
Really?
And that's it. And then I just put the popcorn away, and that's it. But I need to get that fix. So I get that fix, and I eat a little bit of it, and then I'm done. Do you get through all your popcorn, Rob?
Dude, I almost decimate it by the first, like I'll eat a lot of it when I get it. Salty. I like the salty popcorn. No salt for me. I mean, no butter for me. But I'm usually done within like 15 or 20 minutes. And then I've got my Diet Coke left because I find myself, especially with a good movie, I'm too immersed. Like, it gets to the point where I don't even want to move my hands anymore. Sometimes I'll take a drink, but I'm in it, man. When I get in it, the popcorn, and I'm done.
In it to win it.
In it to win it.
Next, what? That Wrestling Hound writes, I guess Far From Home killed the movie downloadable content trend. I don't know about that. I hope it does. I hate that trend. I never want to see it rear its ugly head again, and we as movie fans have to collectively stand together when they try this bullshit again in the future and say, no, we are not going to go support you doing this nonsense, and I hope that's the case. Wrestling Hound also writes, favorite movies of all time. Number 1, Scooby-Doo, 2002. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love that movie. Number 3, Into the Spider-Verse. Number 4, Pacific Rim. Number 5, Alita Battle Angel. Number 6, Kick-Ass. Number 7, Captain America the Civil War. Number 8, Avengers Infinity War. Number 9, Avengers Endgame. Number 10, The Matrix. What an eclectic mix-up of films in there. Things from... First of all, Scott Pilgrim, I've seen that been popping up lately on a couple of people's lists. Underrated movie. Not enough people have seen it. And it didn't do well at the box office either, which is really too bad because that movie's great. You and I have never talked about Scott Pilgrim.
I didn't like that movie as much as I wanted to like that movie.
Really? Oh, I was so delighted by it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a long explanation for that I won't get into here, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it, though.
Yeah, I got a big kick out of it. All right, next one out. Anthony R. writes, when Disney took over Star Wars, I noticed that the Fox fanfare was removed from digital streaming services. Now that they own Fox, the fanfare was put back in, episodes 1 through 6 on Disney Plus, and with 4K upgrades. And I gotta say, I was browsing Disney Plus last night, and the Dolby Vision upgrades to the previous Star Wars movies looks amazing. I know Rob can't wait to buy the physical copies. Rob, you were actually talking about that whole situation there. Like, explain, tell everybody what you were telling me before we started the show.
Well,
today.
first of all, they did not mention this. They did not tell anybody that these Star Wars movies were going to be in 4K, which means they did new 4K transfers. There's even a little tweaking to the Greedo fires first scene, even though he doesn't fire first now, or he does fire first. I don't know. They tweaked that a little bit more. But the Star Wars movies, and not just the Star Wars movies, there are other movies. Somebody said The Black Cauldron. The animated film The Black Cauldron is in 4K. But there's a lot of movies that are in 4K, they're in Dolby Vision, and they're in Atmos. And this is the best format to watch films at home so far. It's creme de la creme, top of the line. They did not advertise this feature for Disney Plus when they first launched, and it was a huge surprise because I love 4K discs, and you cannot get the Star Wars movies on 4K on physical media. So this was a huge win. I think things like somebody said the National Treasure movies are in 4K. So Disney Plus, and there's special features. So Disney Plus has a lot of great surprises. And for those who ask, Dumbo is also unaltered. You know, they even have a comment when you look at the description. This movie, I forget how they put it, contains cultural stereotypes that were prevalent at the time. So please be warned on that. And I'll tell you something else that I think is really cool that a lot of people might think I wouldn't think is cool. Avatar. Avatar has the regular version of Avatar, but they also have a family-friendly version you can show to smaller kids where they've removed the swearing. And it says you can get both. And I was like, you know what? That's the way to do it, man. And whoever, I don't know, Brain Trust, I know a lot of people worked on this. This is Bob Iger's legacy. They've spent a lot of time. There's a lot of things that I personally bitched about that they've fixed. And kudos to Disney for doing what they've done.
All right, let's move on here. Next one up is Kenneth Colton writes, The Mandalorian first episode was amazing. When I saw your post on Twitter and Disney Plus launched 6 hours early, thanks for the heads up on that. Yeah, I tweeted this last night. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Now you can tell I was ready for bed. I was completely ready for bed. I was getting ready to go to sleep when this whole thing came up. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, there it is. I was getting ready to go to bed, and this is
I saw that.
Already in my pajamas, and I'm like, oh my God, it's happening, watching The Mandalorian now. And the Lucasfilm thing came up on the screen. Look how stupid I look. But yes, I was very, very excited to get around to watching that. And I'm glad you were able to participate and watch that as well, Kenneth. All right.
What did you think of the cool new Lucasfilm logo at the beginning when they have the character faces and stuff? Yeah, the Star Wars logo. They did the Star Wars thing. I thought that was really interesting because it's kind of like, it felt like they're like an intro to Marvel movie, like Marvel. But now they have their own thing for Star Wars. It's like, you know what? Now, I'm one of these, I don't like new when it comes to Star Wars. But I got to say, it's like, that feels appropriate. I thought it did too.
It felt
especially
appropriate.
for like a show.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. All right, next up, JB Bonifacio writes, now this is Star Wars, hashtag Mandalorian. Again, I think it's got a little bit of room for growth, but yes, I really did enjoy the first one. I'm very much looking forward to the second episode on Friday. J Master writes, when I saw your post, John, I jumped immediately on the Google Play Store and downloaded Disney+. Thanks for the heads up. The Mandalorian last night was epic. I cannot wait for episode 2 on Friday. And that's the funny thing, because Ann and I were in our bedroom getting ready to go to sleep when we read the thing. So I've got Roku built into the TV in our room. And I immediately went to the channel store and there's no Disney Plus app.
Right.
I'm like,
that's what I did.
I'm like, why? So Ann goes, I'm checking downstairs. I'm like, well, if it's not available on the Roku up here, it's not going to be available on the Roku downstairs. But then Ann runs downstairs. Honey, come down. I'm like, what? And I rushed downstairs and she found it on the Roku downstairs and then installed it. Now, we do have it on the Roku upstairs now as well. But thank God she thought to go down there because I would have been too stubborn. I thought, well, no, if it's not on the Roku here. But it's weird how the Roku, because it wasn't available on your Amazon.
Nope. And I went and watched, to be honest, I went and watched it on my computer because I just logged into their site.
Yeah, I was getting ready to watch it on my tablet.
Yeah, I logged in their site. And I got a pretty big screen and I was listening to it on headphones with ear-splitting volume. So it was quite fun.
But yeah, I was very, very excited to see that J Master. So yeah, also looking forward to Friday. Abe 10 Alpha writes, Doctor, why do you have severe anxiety? Me, I'm a Seahawks fan. They never make it easy.
No, they don't. They do not.
But listen. For any Seahawks fans who moan and cry, but don't forget, you guys in your lifetime, in the very recent history, have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There are a lot of long-suffering fans of teams who have not won the Super Bowl in forever. And you were one interception at the goal line away.
Oh, you had to bring it up.
You were that close to having 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You got to know, Seahawks, when you lose, you don't have any right to complain because, go talk to a Cleveland Brown fan, see how they're feeling about things right now. All right, next up, Noah Aguilera writes, wow, The Mandalorian has made me fall in love with Star Wars again. It was a great start. And most importantly, despite all the nitpicks, like that first episode of Rebels I saw, it just felt like Star Wars. And I didn't know if they could do that on TV effectively. And they did, and that's the important thing there. JB Bonifacio writes, what do you think will get rewatched the most on Disney Plus in the coming days? Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, Nat Geo, or Pixar? Well, honestly, you got to say Pixar, simply because, Pixar. You got to say Marvel, because Marvel has 20... So they launched with 16 titles. 16 titles they launched with, including Endgame, which was just out. So I'm going to say that probably. I don't know if that'll be the truth long term, but for the first week, I got to believe with all the titles there, I got to believe it's going to be Marvel stuff. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, things that have more than... but I also, again, like you said, but there's a lot of other interesting things like... I got to watch that Jeff Goldblum series.
Oh, so do I. By the way, I didn't know it was going to launch when Disney Plus launched.
Oh, yeah. No, the first episode's out.
Right now. I got to watch it.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
But I don't think it's going to be the top thing. But there's a lot of, it's just, you know what it is? That whole interface, it's just fun to navigate through.
It really is. Not like Netflix's interface.
No, it just made me feel good.
Which oddly enough, aesthetically, really, there's not a lot of difference. There's just these little things they do differently with how they organize their stuff that just makes it a lot more adventurous, I guess.
But it's also the color. It's so colorful, and they've got designed title cards for everything. It's like being in a candy store when you see all this candy and there's all this color. Like, oh, I like being in here.
Yeah, we really do. And going through, it's like, this is on here, and this is on. You're going to see All right, Justin the Movie Nerd writes, watch The Mandalorian, and it lives up to the hype. It looked lived in, and practical elements give it that original trilogy flavor. Ludwig's score is phenomenal, too. The music was quite good.
Really interesting.
The music was quite good, and I thought that was one of the strengths of it as well. And you're right. They went for the fringes of the galaxy, the lived-in universe. If anything told you they were going to do that is, again, getting to see a toilet in Star Wars. So,
and I liked seeing Star Wars taxis again. You saw a little bit on that, of course. Yeah. There's that taxi scene.
By the way, the dude driving the taxi, he looks so familiar.
Brian Posehn.
Is that who that was?
The big guy with the ball. Yeah. I used to see him at Golden Apple all the time. He's a total, as John Shep would say, sweaty.
All right, next one up. Chris Hamilton, I have spoken. Again, I got to get a t-shirt that says that. I totally got to get a t-shirt that says that, Chris. All right, Darth Sidious writes, one of two. Hey, John and crew, during yesterday's show, I was trying to pre-order Disney Plus, but every time I clicked on one of the payment plans, I would just get a continuous loading screen, and there's nothing wrong with my VPN. So when I again now, it doesn't even let me sign up for the service, so I can't even watch The Mandalorian with a VPN either. All right, so one of the problems, some people are saying, and again, let me preface this by saying, we here at the John Campea Show do not encourage or endorse or support in any form of piracy, okay? Just that said. We've said if you are a willing paying customer in a country that they are not letting you watch it and you're afraid of getting spoiled for Mandalorian, one of the things we said, one of the things you could look at is a VPN. Because a VPN will tell the server that you're actually not in the country where you're in.
Right.
The problem, the sneaky little devils at Disney figured this out. Because the problem is that Disney has made it a requirement that your country, your credit card, be from the country that your VPN is saying that you're from.
Right.
So if you're in Uruguay and they haven't launched Disney Plus there yet, you can use a VPN that tells the Disney Plus server that you're in the United States. But then when you try to sign up, your credit card has to be a United States-based credit card, or whichever country that you're in. If you're Canada, it's got to be a Canadian credit card. So they've made it very difficult for some people, Rob. They've made it very difficult.
They're smart like that.
They are smart like that, and but people will find a way. As Jeff Goldblum says, life finds a way.
Star Wars fans, find a way.
Find a way. They will find a way. Anyway, sorry to hear that you're having those difficulties, Darth Sidious, dude. That sucks. Hopefully you find some solution for that. And if I hear of any solutions, I will share them. All right, Sheepdog 117 writes, oh my gosh, Disney Plus has all 90s Marvel cartoons. And that is one of the things, Rob, that a lot of people were saying they were very excited about. And I know I was too.
Dude, I told you, one of the things I watched Days of Future Past Part 1.
Oh,
got a little Bishop fix in there.
Devilman writes, have you heard anything about Tom Welling donning the Superman suit? I'm a huge fan of Smallville. And it's the one reason I'm excited about the new DC crossover. No, to be honest with you, I haven't heard anything about about them doing that. I'm going to guess he won't, but I won't be surprised if he does. How do you think about that, Rob?
I did hear one thing. I read something yesterday, and I don't know where I read this, but I can guarantee you I did read this, that Greg Berlanti did say that all three Supermen would share the frame together. They'd be in the same, I don't know if it's the same shot, same scene, but he didn't say whether or not they would be all be suited up.
Right. So that might have been one of I speculated when they got Tom Welling on, they said, okay, the one thing I will not do is wear the Superman costume.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but that'd be dope. If they're going to do it, if you're going to be there, Tom, put on the suit.
I'm guessing they won't, but again, not so hard that I'd be at all surprised if they do. Do you think, if you had to put $5 on a Rob, do you think you're going to see Tom Welling in the Superman suit?
Yes. Because it would be too cool. I mean, this whole thing is based on being cool. If they just had him
this whole thing is all fan service.
The
whole thing is just pure fan service.
And I'm one of the people I want to be served.
But listen, Devilman, don't just watch it just because you think you're going to see. If all you want to see is Tom Welling in the suit, get a buddy of yours who knows how to use Photoshop and Photoshop Tom Welling's head on a Superman suit. It's not that hard. All right. Next up here, Man Mountain Gherkin 23 writes, signed up for Disney Plus today. Why do I still find it so effing difficult to get rid of my physical Disney, Star Wars, Marvel media? Maybe I am attached. By the way, keeping Netflix for Star Trek. Well, yeah, that's the thing, man. I've always said I don't see any purpose or reason why somebody would feel the need to get rid of Netflix unless it's a budgetary reason. I plan on keeping Netflix and Disney Plus. But, you know, it's funny, Rock, because you and I were talking before the show that it's like, I now kind of regret that I bought my digital copy, that I bought my digital copy of Endgame, because now I've just got it there on Disney Plus. But, I mean, the reality is, if for whatever reason, at some time in the future, I decide $6.99, or maybe in a year, Disney says, our new price is $32 a month. And I go, well, bye-bye, Disney Plus. I mean, then at least I still got it. But yeah, I don't think you need to question yourself, Man Mountain, why you're keeping your physical media at all. Rob, what do you think?
Well, look, I thought like, well, if they go in and change things, but when I saw that disclaimer on Dumbo, because I was like, Dumbo's only going to be available in an edited form. That's what we'd been led to believe, and it's not. Make no mistake, Disney Plus is a physical media killer. I've been buying physical media for 39 years because I'm an old man with one foot in his grave. But let me tell you, I've been habitually buying it. I'm like, you can pry my physical media out of my cold, dead fingers. But as far as Star Wars, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I mean, I just got all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in 4K, all of them. And now it's like, I don't need them. I don't need them.
All right.
I'm sad, John.
Aw. But it really is kind of a physical media killer, isn't it?
It's a physical media. It's the doomsday machine of physical media. There's a Star Trek reference.
But that doesn't mean that Disney's going to sneak in your house in the middle of the night and steal your physical media. So if you got it, hang on to it. Use it. By all means. Benny95 writes, have you seen the deepfake roundtable interview Collider did with Mark Ellis? It's hilarious. Only worry is you can get people in legal trouble. I doubt that. But no, I haven't seen it yet myself.
Dude.
Their George Lucas one, though, was very, very funny. It was very funny.
It's George Lucas, Ewan McGregor, Tom Cruise, Mark Ellis, and there's somebody else. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Jeff Goldblum. It's so funny. And what's terrifying is that Collider can do this so quickly. And the people playing all these actors are doing a phenomenal job.
But I know the other one I saw was really quite good. Richard Karate writes, could the mysterious voice in Hobbs and Shaw actually be Han, and they found his body, enhanced it like Elba's, and he is returning for revenge on Shaw? Listen, I said when Robert and I were talking about Hobbs and Shaw, that was actually my theory. What if that's actually Hobbs? And I think you agree. Like,
Didn't I tell you what was going to happen in Fast and Furious 9?
You think in 9 it's going to be revealed
Han's
that
coming back, yo. Justice for Han will be served.
And he's going to be the evil.
I don't think he's going to be evil.
So you don't think there's any chance he's that voice from Hobbs and Shaw?
Oh, I think he could very well be. Maybe.
But that's an evil guy.
But I think he's. Look, he can't blame his family. He can't blame Dom and everybody for thinking he's dead because he allowed them to think that. But yeah, man.
But he could be so pissed at them. It's like,
I don't think he's pissed at them because they didn't know.
Think about it. Doesn't matter. You let the guy into the family who killed me. You worked with him.
Well, no, I'm not. Look,
after he killed me,
Fate
he
of the
could
Furious,
be totally against them.
Dom
at this
being
point.
a villain. I mean, Cypher. Look, all I know is that if Sun Kang becomes the big bad that ends the series, if they end with Fast and Furious 10, like they said, and Han is the big bad, as long as he wins and kills everybody at the end and triumphs, and it's like Sun Kang goes and opens a restaurant in Brentwood, I am in. I just want him and his hair back. I want him in his RX-7 back. I cannot wait. Justice for Han.
All right, next up here, where are we at? We're at Richard Karate, who writes, do you think that with Palpatine still alive after the Death Star, that we will find out in 9 that Snoke was probably meant was his new apprentice after Vader, and he trained Snoke and asked him to find and kill Luke? I'll say this, Richard. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it is a theory that would fit into the circumstances that we have. So if I had to give an over-under that, I would go low, like maybe 20%, but 20% is certainly nothing to shake your head at. So it would theoretically fit. So I won't drop dead of shock if that's what they do. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I wouldn't drop dead of shock. Rob, what do you think?
I don't think that's what they're going to do either, but I wouldn't drop dead of shock. I think that, I don't know if anybody really knows that the Emperor is there. I think he's been biding his time behind the scenes.
All right. Next up, Brian Lohner writes, this new superhero movie looks weird. When does he actually become Irishman? That's the Martin Scorsese nightmare right there. When does he become Irishman? By the way, is that now on Netflix? Is it available now? It's not available yet.
I think it's the 27th.
It's on the 27th.
I think so.
Okay. All right. So this is a placeholder name, writes, have you heard of Short Circuit? Looks delightful. Like a new Short Circuit?
Johnny Five is alive.
Johnny Five is alive.
Who hasn't heard of Short Circuit?
But is there a new one? Is that what he's talking about?
I don't know. I hope not.
Why not?
Like, again?
Why
I didn't
not?
like Short Circuit. Short Circuit's fine.
Short Circuit's fine. I like Short Circuit. Anyway,
It's
Hector
fine.
Jeter writes, Song of the South isn't on Disney Plus. I'm outraged. Just kidding. LOL, just kidding. That's the thing I said yesterday, Rob, and I don't want to get into it too much here, but One of the things I said, like, look, if you get into, if they take out the Siamese Cat song, right? Or if they take out Song of the South. Here's what I said to it. This is my personal feeling. If I'm an executive at Disney and Iger drops this decision on me, he offloads the decision on me and says, you make the decision if we're taking those out. Personally, me, I say no, we don't take them out. We do exactly what they did. You put in disclaimers up at the front and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I do. But if Iger offloads that decision on somebody else, and they decide it is a different era today than it was back then, there are certain things now that we realize today that were idiotic to do and have in these movies. And for the sake of our audience, we're going to remove a couple of those scenes. I would say, again, it's not the decision I would make.
Right.
But it's hard to argue against. And my thing was, why I didn't understand why anybody would get vocal about being in opposition to that, because the last time I checked, I've never been on any movie thread anywhere that talked about, oh, you know what my all-time favorite scenes are? That Siamese Cat song. One of my all-time favorite scenes. But if they take it out, now it becomes an issue. And so, yeah, my position has always been I wouldn't take them out. But if they did, I get it. I get it. It's not what I would do, but I get it because we are living in a different era now. And there are, I mean, let's face it, if those things were made today, they never would put those in movies today. They would never put those scenes in movies today.
No.
And so that's why I go, I wouldn't take it out, but I at least get why maybe they would. So where do you fall on that?
Well, no, I think preserving our cultural and artistic heritage is important. And Song of the South won 2 Academy Awards. And it's an important, I mean, as far as black entertainment history goes, I think it's an important film. It was being re-released in theaters all the way up to mid-'80s, like 86. Yeah. Now, it's not like... It's not like Song of the South is some kind of a minstrel show. It's not this. It's about Brer Rabbit and Uncle Remus. And when I was a kid, I loved Song of the South. Remember, Splash Mountain comes right out of Song of the South. But I would have there was a time when I was working for a company and we were doing this Lord of the Rings disc, but we also did all the discs for Disney. And there was talk about how do we present Song of the South, because Disney had released it in other parts of the world and you could get it on home video. But having people put it in context and explain it, whether it's black entertainers that could say what it meant, or sociologists or whomever, just contextualize it. But I think there's no reason to get rid of these things. You know, the Siamese Cat song in Lady and the Tramp. By the way, I didn't look to see if the Siamese Cat song was taken out of Lady and the Tramp. I don't know. Now I'm going to go home and...
I'll bet you anything it's not in the new live action version.
Right, no, I'm sure. But I think it's rather than be afraid of our past, we need to preserve so we understand where we come from as a people and what we should do and what we shouldn't do and what we've gained and what we've lost and what we've learned. I think it's important.
And that's why and that's why I agree. That's why I wouldn't take it up myself. But I can also see that if there are people who are like, watching this today is hurtful to me.
Right.
Then I can at least be sympathetic to the notion about why some maybe in Disney or whatever would entertain the idea of taking it out.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
It's not as black and white and as easy a decision I think as most people make. So I think you and I come out on the same side of this. I would have left it in too for all the reasons you so eloquently put. But I get why the conversations happen about maybe we should take these. I get it. That's all I'm saying is that I completely get it.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, let's go here. Hector Jeter writes, I'm so overwhelmed on the content that's in Disney Plus. I'm literally just looking up random movie shows just to see what's available. Hector, you and me both, buddy. I was doing that a bit last night before going to bed, and I tried to do that again today, except none of the pages would load, unfortunately. But it's like finding a treasure chest. on the beach and now digging through it to see all the gold and rubies and everything that are inside. And Rob, it's a plethora of goodness in there.
Dude, what I loved about it, it was so easy, at least it was last night, to just flip between titles. Like, I just went on the Star Wars titles just to see what scenes look like. It is so easy to navigate and move around and jump from one to the other. There's like no lag time, fast. It was the speed of thought. And I was just, if I didn't stop, I never would have showed up for the show this morning because I would have stayed up all night and I would have fallen asleep in my office desk chair, being like drool coming out of my mouth with my remote or whatever, trying to watch Disney Plus. Actually, it would have been better because I would have been locked out because people would have jumped on. But I agree, it is a treasure chest on it's buried treasure. It's great.
Let's see here. Brandon Blake writes, so basically, never need to buy a Disney movie again. Disney Plus is pretty awesome. Rob, this goes to what you were saying before about it being the physical media killer. That's basically it.
It is.
I mean, I literally have no reason, even digitally, on Amazon or Google Play Store or whatever, I don't even have a reason to ever buy anything on Disney again at this point.
No, and the presentation, I mean, the fact that it's not just 4K, it's Dolby Vision and Atmos, which is top of the line right now. I mean, they're not effing around. So why keep anything?
Yeah, they're doing a really good job of it. And, it raised an interesting question. At what point does Disney just stop putting out their stuff on physical media? I don't think it's going to be long.
Look, there's a lot of people in rural areas that still use these things, which I understand. People don't have the kind of pipelines. Not everybody has tip-top internet, so there's probably going to be a need for it. But really, for us, for urban city dwellers, no reason at all.
All right, Nathan Oswald writes, I'm so happy I get a free year of Disney Plus with Verizon. That was a great little deal that they put out for that. So I'm glad we were able to take advantage of that, Nathan. Nathan writes, holy crap, I'm actually looking forward to Sonic now. Still looks like absolute garbage.
Yeah, I was like, what? Watch the trailer.
It looks like absolute garbage.
I cannot, life is too short.
I mean, and look, and I'm all about Jim Carrey, good Canadian kid. But this movie looks like absolute. Now, but let me say this. I thought, it's every once in a while. It's only about 5% of the time. But I thought Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse looked terrible. I thought that was a bad idea. And it's now one of my most beloved films. Sonic, look, whatever you think, Sonic still has that potential. It could be a great movie. We're only talking about the trailer. But the trailer looked like hot garbage. But, and I'm seeing a bunch of people now saying, oh, wow, this trailer was so much better. You know what it is? No, because people cried and moaned and complained because they wanted the redesign. And they got the and look, it looks better. I don't think it looks night and day different like some people are making it out to be, but it looks better. But they're just so happy they got the redesign that they're now making this out. Oh, now the trailer looks great. No, it does not. This movie looks like hot garbage. It's not going to change the thing. But I thought Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse looked bad. So, and now I love it. And who knows? And look, I'll never doubt Jim Carrey because even though most people hate the fabulous, is it the Fabulous Burt Wonderstone? Or is it the Something Burt Wonderstone with Steve Carell? Most people don't like that movie. Okay, I get it. I did enjoy it just because Jim Carrey elevates it to me. I love Jim Carrey in that movie. I don't love the movie overall, but he elevates it to me, and that could happen with me with Sonic. But
I don't know.
You didn't dig the trailer either? You haven't talked about it.
I didn't. I watched it yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, is this a movie? Is this a story that I need to hear? And I don't know. I think I might have truly, as an aging man-child who really has an inner 12-year-old pretty much exhibited front and center all day long, all day of my life. I'm not an inner 8-year-old boy that's come to life. This seemed to me to be a little young for me.
Playing a double feature with the new Barney movie. The one that's going to subvert our expectations. All right. Frankie Gouge writes, The Mandalorian is impressive and high quality. I have spoken. Again, love that. This is the new phrase. Yeah, listen, pure. Look, a lot of people say a lot of different TV looks cinematic, when really it doesn't. It just looks better than regular television.
Right.
This absolutely looked absolute cinematic. I mean, this very well could have been the opening act to a movie.
Yeah.
They really did put that kind of effort into it. All right, AG Systems writes, the original trilogy in glorious 4K Dolby Vision. I am all Ghibli. Listen, AG, that's something Rob was talking a lot about too. He loved that as well. Patrick Conway writes, have you seen the alternate Vomir Widow Sacrifice? I have not. Rob, have you?
No, I've not. I've not watched. That must be, maybe it's new. I mean, I heard people have watched. Somebody said there's a ton of special features on Endgame on Disney Plus, and maybe there's things I haven't seen yet. Yeah.
I might have to go and check that out as soon as we're done the show. Thanks for putting that on our radar, man. All right, Hector Jeter writes, I'm sure I'm not the only one who said this to you on your show, but the Siamese cat singing in The Lady in the Trap is the best scene ever, LOL. It's funny because I was saying the other day, I've never heard anybody say, that's my favorite scene of all time. Hector pulling on our legs a little bit there. All right, Fan of Peanuts writes, whoa, yo. The Mandalorian is damn good. It felt like a TV movie just slightly, but that's okay. Highly impressive. OG World, 9.5 out of 10. I wouldn't go that high myself, but it's a win. That open, and again, especially for a first episode, it checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
It did everything it needed to do, and it's got nowhere to go but up, I think. So I enjoyed that first episode, and more importantly, it got me hooked because I've watched a number of first episode of shows and go, not interested in another episode. This one definitely interested in another episode. So, let's see. We just got a couple more here, and then we got to let Rob go to do his thing. Frankie Gouge writes, more Mandalorian. Nick Nolte as the I Have Spoken guy. Glad to see him back. I loved that particular voice pairing. And again, we're not going to go into spoilers, but Nick Nolte voices a CG character. I loved the pairing of that voice with that character. It just worked so well. And you know what? I didn't even remember that Nick Nolte was going to be part of this project.
Oh, right.
And as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, that's Nick Nolte.
Well,
it worked perfectly.
I think it speaks to the fact that when they were doing this and they came up with this idea, they were able to think out of the box and cast these people because they weren't. They didn't have a network executive that they're like, we have to get somebody who's a star of a network show to come in and do this. And part of this proof of concept that they were going for The Mandalorian that sold this to Disney to make it into a series was getting these voices. Getting Carl Weathers, getting Herzog, getting Nick Nolte, because they weren't constrained by having to get a TV star, so it really adds to the flavor of the universe. And I really loved all the voice characterizations, except that lawyer dude.
Right?
I'm like, he just talked like he was in a sitcom. Like, hi, I'm on Night Court.
Yeah, I was not thrilled with that character.
No.
I was glad when he was no longer on screen. A fan of Peanuts writes, OT equals original trilogy. No problem. Totally got what you meant there. Also writes, if you could visit any set of planets from the individual Star Wars movies only, which film do you guys choose? I would go with Revenge of the Sith. I really want to visit Coruscant.
Yeah, me too, dude.
I mean, so whatever. Even though you're getting prequel era now, Coruscant is the planet I'd want to visit.
I want a speeder. I want to fly through the city. I want to meet hot alien babes. I want to eat at Dexter Jester's diner. Whatever, come on.
Oh, Dexter Jester. Mel's
Dexter
Diner.
Jex-
I'm sorry, Dexter Jester. Sure, hon, I'm a New York. Wait, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm just not going to get into all that. All right, James Argenta writes, had to finish The Mandalorian on my phone due to sight being down. Yeah, I guess that. Guess I have to watch it on my TV again. Great ending. Hey, listen, and having to go back to watch that episode again is not a bad thing. I plan on doing the exact same thing a little bit later today. At least you were able to finish it, James. That's the nice thing about all the options we have as far as delivery devices. One thing craps out, you can jump on to another thing. So I'm glad you were able to finish that episode, James. Fan of Peanuts writes, when/if will there be an episode-to-episode spoiler discussion, or will there even be one for The Mandalorian show, like the way you guys did it with Game of Thrones? Well, Christian and I today on Dark Side, Light Side will be talking The Mandalorian episode, and we will be talking in spoiler terms. Now, a little bit later this afternoon or this evening, Ann and I ourselves are going to be doing ongoing for the rest of the series. Ann and I are going to be doing a totally open spoiler discussion for each episode of The Mandalorian. So we got a lot of Mandalorian talk today here on the John Campea Show. We got, right now, obviously, we got Dark Side, Light Side later, and then a little bit later this evening, Ann and I talking about the first episode. Again, that'll be all open spoilers as well. So make sure you guys come and get my and Ann's opinion on the show as well, and I hope to see you guys there. All right, last two questions here. Sheepdog117 writes, no Indiana Jones on Disney, but why? It's a rights thing. It's just a rights thing. That is the case, right? Because it's just the rights to those streaming things were already in place for other places right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, that they have to get them off Netflix or they have to get them off somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they'll be there eventually.
Remember, once you sign a contract for these movies to be otherwise, you just got to wait for those contracts to expire to then go and get them back.
Yes.
But I have zero doubt that at some point they will make their way home to Disney Plus.
Broad 4K Dolby Vision Atmos. Woo!
All right, last question we're going to have with Rob here. Then we're going to let him go. Checkmate 9 Moves writes, question. Greatest comic movie fight scene. Everyone else, Civil War airport scene. Me watching Bane destroy Batman for 4 straight minutes is so good. That is a great moment in that movie. That is a great moment in that movie. It's hard for me not to go with the stereotypical answer, which is, of course, the airplane, the airport scene. It's just so good. You got so many different interactions happening, so much drama going on, the intercharacters. It all had dramatic weight and dramatic purpose. And I've always said, without dramatic purpose, visual effects and action on screen is just visual noise.
Right.
But there was so much dramatic purpose in every interaction that happened in that. So I don't know, if I really think about it, I might come up with a couple others, but that airport one. What about you, Rob? Best fight scene you've seen in a comic book movie?
Gosh, the best. I mean, it's so cliche because the thing about that fight scene was you really got to see, in addition to the big scope of it, each character had sort of individual interaction with other characters. So you got to see Spider-Man take on a few characters. You got to see Ant-Man turn into Giant Man. So it was so satisfying on a number of different levels. But you know, I have to say, I really like the beginning of Captain America Winter Soldier when they take on the boat. When Captain America
and George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre is the leaper.
Yeah, that fight scene, everything that Captain America does, I love the way it's staged. It's peak verisimilitude. It feels real. I mean, yes, it does not have the joy of comic book characters pummeling each other the way we see, but it's a real badass fight scene, and I felt every punch.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
It was great. And that fight just between Cap and George St. Pierre was so cool. Next up, Checkmate. We just had Checkmate. Where are we at here? Kyle McCaskill writes, the Phantom Menace and Geek and Gamers are hate baiters. They are lying about test screenings and Lucasfilm sources. You know what? You know what? Listen. We're not here to talk about other YouTube channels, whatever. We are here to talk about the things we love. We're here to talk about movies and whatever and stuff like that. And so I'm not discrediting or hating or agreeing or anything with what you just said. I'm just saying we're not here to talk about other YouTube channels. We're here to talk about things we love. So let's keep our conversation positive. All right, Mickey Altieri writes, Ricky Gervais. Oh, I was supposed to let you go. No, well, too bad. You're here. We're going to do one more.
I'll do one more.
Ricky Gervais is back hosting the next Golden Globes, and I can't wait to see him trigger everyone and not give 2 Fs. If you believe for a second, though, that that it's not all cleared and it's not all pre-discussed with the Golden Globes at this point, then you're as naive as I am on a number of things, because clearly it's going to be. Look, some people suggested, Rob, that Ricky Gervais should host. I don't think he's an appropriate host for the Oscars. I just don't. But I love Ricky Gervais.
I do too.
I love Ricky Gervais. And I think it's going to be cool to see him go back and doing the Golden Globes again. Listen, honestly, the best Golden Globe hosting ever was Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Like, their stuff, every single bit had me in
Yeah, no, they were really good.
Stitches. Just in stitches. I don't know if you remember this, but the best joke ever on the Golden Globes was this one year that George Clooney was getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. And they're going, they come to, the camera comes on Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. And they're like, Amal, what's her last name?
Amal Clooney?
That's Clooney now. I can't remember what her last name was. But anyway, Amal Clooney. And they start listing all these things she does, right? UN ambassador this, legal expert mind who did this, orchestrated and pioneered the funding for this, and relief to these people, and blah, blah, blah. It's all this, Randy. So tonight, we're here to give a Lifetime Achievement Award to her husband, which the timing of it was glorious. It was really, really, really great. But I am looking forward to seeing Ricky Gervais back to host the Golden Globes. Anyway, what do you think, Rob?
I love Ricky Gervais. And I think, but people, of course they know what he's going to do, but that's why they're bringing him back, because he's so wildly entertaining and irreverent. And that's why it's funny. It's entertaining. People tune in to watch.
All right, Rob, with that down, you got a bunch of things, movie-related stuff you got to go and do with yourself. So tell everybody right now where they can find you online.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and my show, Robservations.
And we will see you again back in here tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
So excellent job again today, Robert. Always
show.
awesome having you here. And guys, we still have about 15 or 20 minutes to go here. So we're going to keep right on rolling with your questions. And we're going to jump in and start off with Doug Harris, who writes, can't watch Disney Plus. App has been down all day. Yeah, a lot of people have been having frustrations with that. But listen, it's all just part of that. A big initial rush. I expect it'll probably be smoothed out by later this afternoon. Here's hoping, because I was having problems with it this morning as well. Slim Trav writes, over under 30%. M. Jordan cameo in Space Jam 2. I'm under. I'm going to go under as well. But I wouldn't say 5%. I'd say it's more than that. But at 30, I'm with you, Slim. I'm going to take the under on that. Rendell Sanchez writes, one of two. Hi, John. You probably don't remember, I am the one who asked about an AMC trivia game show back when you were working in the AMC days. I don't recall that, Randall, but thanks for bringing it up. My question is, I rewatch / miss your movie commentary with you, Harloff, Ellis, and the Great Schnepp. Know you are busy. Can we see you, Harloff, Ellis, and Robert do movie commentaries once a month in the future? Thank you. Probably not. Now, I'm not going to say absolutely not, but it's a probably not. It is incredibly difficult right now listen, Christian and I couldn't even arrange our schedule to do one more show together. Like we originally were going to do 2 shows a week together, but we just realized the schedules weren't going to allow them. So we do the 1 show a week, which is Dark Side, Light Side, which by the way, the next episode is later today. But to do one of those commentaries, there's a lot of work that goes into those. Like just setting up the room is a bunch of work. And then trying to coordinate the schedules where just me and Harloff, let alone me, Harloff, and a Robert, and don't even bother thinking about Ellis. His schedule, he's so successful right now, which is amazing, but it would be nearly impossible to try to figure out a block of like 4 hours that we could get together and do that while Christian has a family and kids, and I'm married, and Rob's got his home life and all that kind of stuff too. And so while I am not saying absolutely not, it is unlikely. It is unlikely at this point. Now, it might be easier to see me and Rob do one, but even then it's difficult to coordinate those schedules to make it happen. So maybe, but unlikely. So I will definitely upload. I will definitely update you guys if any of that changes. I'm just saying for right now, it's probably unlikely. Russell Amador writes, hey, John, thoughts on revamped Sonic look? It's an improvement. Not much more than that, though. A lot of these people are saying it's night and day. I'm just like, I'm sorry, no, it's not night and day. But it is an improvement. I'll give it that. The trailer still looks like garbage, though. Jesse writes, the new Sonic trailer, I feel, is far superior to the first. Not only the character design, because that doesn't really matter, but I got a better feel for the story and the characters. I'm digging it now. Well, listen, it's all subjective. And if you like something, then that's awesome. And if you watch that trailer and now suddenly it's working for you and maybe before it didn't, hey, we've all had experiences like that with new trailers. Like first Alita Battle Angel trailer was terrible. Turned a lot of people off. But then the second one came and it's like, you know what? This feels better. And if that's what happened with you with Sonic, that's awesome. It did not for me, but if it did for you, that's what's important. All right. Eric Garcia writes, first super chat, John. Saw Dr. Sleep and forgot Jacob Tremblay was cast. Very small role, but yes. Stole the show for me, but also broke my heart. Never wanted to cover my eyes so bad before. Now, I'm not going to go into spoilers for those of you who have not seen Dr. Sleep. But Jacob Tremblay is in a small role in this movie, but he makes excellent use of that small role. And you buy into it in a very powerful way, as Eric is kind of mentioning. Again, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory here, but if you've seen Dr. Sleep, you know exactly what he's talking about. And if you haven't seen Dr. Sleep, I do recommend you go check it out because it's a really, really good movie. All right, McDavid Deserves Better writes, my top comedies. Number 1, Blazing Saddles. Hard to argue against that one. Number 2, Clue. Number 3, Trading Places. Number 4, Goon. Really? Number 5, Jump Street. I love that one. Number 6, The Other Guys. I'm not a huge fan of The Other Guys, to be honest with you, other than the opening with Samuel Jackson and Dwayne Johnson. Number 7, Step Brothers. Love that one. Number 8, Dumb and Dumber. Number 9, Rush Hour. I really don't like Rush Hour. I really like Rush Hour 2, oddly enough, but I'm not a big fan of the first Rush Hour. And number 10, Tropic Thunder. Dude, it feels like today they are not able to crank out comedies like they were before. Like you're looking down that list, it's like there was an era when you can get these great, it just feels like today they have a harder time cranking out great comedies. And then when some really good comedies do come out, they don't really get the support. Like, for instance, there was one that Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman, what was it called again? Game Night, that came out like a year ago. It was really good. Now, is it Step Brothers good? Not quite. But, and we're in an era right now where we don't get that many quality comedies like Game Night. And I wish more people would have supported it. And I hope we do when more comedies do come out so we can get more of an insurgence. Because listen, if studios start seeing that audiences are supporting comedies, they're going to start making more comedies. They just got to be, good ones, hopefully. All right, Jake Smith writes, spotted you and Ann on an episode of Kitchen Nightmares. Yep, we were on an episode of Kitchen Nightmares. It was for a restaurant in Glendale, California. It was really good, as a matter of fact. So it's funny because about 2 or 3 times a year, I'll get a swash of people sending me messages saying, holy crap, was this you? Like a screenshot. Was this you on Kitchen Nightmares? It's like, yes, it was. So you can tell when the rerun cycle is going through, because out of nowhere, I'll suddenly get like 10 messages from people asking if that was us on Kitchen Nightmares. Yes, that was us. So thanks for sharing that, Jake. All right, Suthius writes, hey guys, I hope people will go out and support Sonic after whining and complaining, resulting in studios spending more money on the redesign. The first design was fine. I mean, look, I'll say this. I also thought the first design was fine. It wasn't great, but I thought it was fine. I mean, you looked at the character, you instantly knew that was Sonic the Hedgehog. The redesign is it's a better design. It is. The redesign is better. It's not going to make the movie any better, though. It's not going to make the jokes any funnier. It's not going to make any of the dialogue any better. But it is an improved design. I'll give it that. It's an improvement, but it's not going to change the movie. And the movie looks awful. But then again, I thought Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse wasn't going to watch, and now it's one of my most beloved films. Maybe the same thing will happen there. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because I love me some Jim Carrey. I'd love to see him be in a triumphant movie. So I'm actually going to cheer for it. I just don't have a lot of hope for it. Anyway, ZMG Ruler writes, Sonic looks tons better now. Hope it's at worst okay. I hope it's better than that, but I mean, hey, if it turns out to be even just okay, I think a lot of people will consider that a win. Evil John Campea writes, hey, regular John, what if the Mandalorian is good? Haha, Evil John is struck again. Also, Chris Carr is amazing. Chris is great. Don't forget to check her out. She'll be back here on the show on Thursday. Filmmaker12 writes, hey, John, Rob, and company, I just want to say that I absolutely love Disney Plus. Flight of the Navigator, I came across that on it, was my favorite movie to watch. Playing Disney songs all day as I drive for Uber, driving people nuts. You know what? I bet you listen, if I got into an Uber, Filmmaker 12, and my driver was playing a bunch of Disney songs, I would be smiling. I would be pretty damn happy. I think that's a great thing to do for the people riding in your car. I think they're a little bit dead inside if they don't enjoy these things. No, it really is neat because for the while last night when the interface was all working, I had a blast just going through the interface and look, oh, that's here and that's here and that's here. Oh, and I got to watch that and I got to watch that again. It really is. It looks like they've done a really great job. It looks like they've done a tremendous job on this service. And I'm looking forward to getting really into the meat of it and actually watching some more content, when it's good, when it works. When it works, I'll be looking forward to that. So thanks for sharing that, Filmmaker. All right, where are we at here? Phoenix Horizon Com writes, update. I don't know if you remember, but you helped me ask my girl to marry me on a super chat. I don't remember. A year ago. Now she's obsessed with Star Wars like me, and we're excited for The Mandalorian. Thanks, John. Well, listen, that sounds like the happy ending to a very good story. Ann had never seen a Star Wars movie before we started dating. And so when we were starting to get serious, I was like, okay, time out. We need to fix this right now. And she got into Star Wars, which is great. So I got my happily ever after. I'm glad you're getting yours as well, Phoenix Horizon. So congratulations on that. And I hope you enjoy the show. I mean, listen, I think The Mandalorian has some issues, but overall I was quite pleased with it. I was really pleased with it. And I really enjoyed watching it. And I cannot wait for episode 2 on Friday. We don't even have to wait long for the next episode on Friday. All right. Jason O'Connor writes, never heard your thoughts on the new Watchmen series. I'm enjoying it. Listen, I just watched episode 4. Episode 4 was probably my least favorite episode. They got Madame True in it. I didn't love the episode, but I really quite enjoyed all the first 3 episodes. So right now, overall, I'm quite happy with Watchmen right now. All right, the Nocturnal Disney Podcast writes, yo, did you see the Soul trailer? I didn't like it. It reminded me of The Good Dinosaur, which in my opinion is worse than Cars. I wish I was excited for it. I did see the Soul. It's not even a trailer. It's just a little teaser. But I didn't even bother talking about it because I already saw a big presentation on Soul at D23 earlier this year. And it looks very promising. Again, I saw a number of minutes of stuff for Soul, and it looks quite promising. That's the thing with Pixar. They go deeper than just the average Sonic the Hedgehog. They go much deeper and make real movies, and it looks like it's got a lot of promise and potential. So that little teaser doesn't really give anything. It doesn't give anything. I thought it was fine, but once they start actually, and we're probably going to have to wait till we get on the other side of Onward, which also looks great. But once we're there and you'll start to see some of the other stuff coming out, I think you'll get a better picture of what this movie is going to be about and what it feels like. Because all I can say is right now, I think it looks like it's got a lot of potential. So we'll see what happens. Cody Carroll writes, got Disney Plus for free with Verizon. It's a great deal, isn't it? That's awesome. Marie Seifring writes, saw Jojo Rabbit yesterday. Just wow, unique and brilliant. I was overwhelmed by how good that movie was. Like I have a hard time believing how good that movie is, Marie. I really, really do. Joshua Stevens writes, The Boys is the best Injustice live we could have ever get. It is. Listen, that's exactly what I said to a buddy of mine, Joshua. I said, it's kind of like, although not really like, but it's kind of like a live action version of Injustice Gods Among Us. In a way, but like Homelander is definitely Dick Superman from Injustice Gods Among Us in many ways. So I think it's an apt comparison, Joshua. I really do. All right. Tucky421 sends in a large super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, Tucky. We appreciate it. When do you think they will increase the marketing for The Rise of Skywalker? I feel like this marketing has been the weakest of the sequel trilogy films. Do you think there will be an international trailer? I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot of TV spots. Now, remember, the fact of the matter is we're still a month away from Star Wars Episode 9 hitting theaters. I believe in another week and a half, they will start ramping up the TV spots. And that's when they'll go into full drive mode, especially once Mandalorian gets on TV. I think jumping off and springboarding off of Mandalorian is going to be part of the strategy. So, me, I don't care. They're just commercials. The movie's going to be what the movie is. But I think I give it another week and a half before they really start firing off on all the TV ads and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to get another major trailer, though. Because even when you go to StarWars.com, it's in big letters, the final trailer. And that was the one we already got. So go back and watch the final trailer again. So, that's fine, but I expect there to be a lot of TV spots. Again, give it about a week and a half. They'll springboard off the Mandalorian and a lot of TV spots. So they'll go from there. And I agree. I feel like they're putting less effort in the big marketing push for this movie than they did for the previous ones. However, we still got another month to go. And they could just be tinkering with their strategy on it right now. So let's see how that all works out. Joshua Stevens writes, I have a drive-in theater 10 minutes from my house at $10 a car. Does that money get split evenly for both movies they show at night? I don't know, because there's not enough drive-ins left anymore for me to really know. My guess would be it is not split evenly, because quite often with drive-ins, one movie is a brand new movie, and one movie it'll be a slightly older movie, right? So that'll have a different cut and percentage. So I'm going to guess it's probably not even. That's just a guess. So I'm not well versed on the financial workings of the drive-in movie theater system, unfortunately. But that's a good deal, though. Go just cram 5 people into a car, $10 for a car. I love the drive-in, dude. I love the drive. I'm jealous you got one near you. Matthew Melaragno writes, I cannot wait for Knives Out. You and me both. I am dying to see this movie. I just bought my tickets for a special fan screening, an advanced fan screening about a week in advance. I am so excited about it. I know a couple of people who've seen it and they're losing their minds for it. So I'm really excited for it too, dude. All right. Another Skywalker sends in a huge super chat. Thank you, Another Skywalker, for supporting the channel on that level. Myself, everybody here, thanks you for the support on that level, dude. That's great. Anyway, Another Skywalker writes, oh my God, The Mandalorian and the 4K. This is going to be a good holiday season. And you know what? I didn't even bother switching it to 4K. So I don't know. But look, I think this you're pretty much looking across the board. You're not seeing many people not really happy with The Mandalorian. Again, I'm just going to go over and look again at the poll I put up earlier today for today's show. So about another 500 of you guys have voted, sitting about 1,500 votes. Only 7% are saying they didn't like it. Only 7%. The other 93% are saying that it was either okay. 65% of people are saying it was great. So this is a win. And by the way, coming off the divisiveness of The Last Jedi, this is a much needed win for Star Wars. And it could be a double, a left-right combo, because we got Mandalorian now, and then on Friday we've got another Mandalorian episode, but we also have the new game coming out, which a lot of people are very excited for. So it's definitely a big win for people, and a lot of people are very excited about it. Again, I didn't think the first episode was utterly fantastic, but it has all the building blocks there. It checked all the boxes, got us introduced to the universe, got me introduced to the character, has a couple of really good action sequences, and they're starting to lay the groundwork a little bit. And on all those levels, it totally worked for me. Again, I'm not doing somersaults for it, but I thought it was quality. I thought it was quite good. I was entertained. And again, I think it's just a launch pad for what we're going to see moving forward. And I'm very excited, Skywalker, to see where they go with this. And we don't have to wait long. Just, what is it today? Tuesday? 3 more days. 3 more days, and we get another episode that hopefully will be longer than 37 minutes. Can I say that? I didn't pay attention to seeing how long is the episode. I just assumed it would be an hour long. I am a little disappointed because it felt like that episode should have been longer. But hey, we'll see how it all kind of works out. And again, another Skywalker, thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, man. We really appreciate it around here. All right, next up, Robert McDougall writes, just bought a brand new Vizio 4K and its built-in Chromecast isn't up to date, so no Star Wars for me. Morning ruined, should have gone with Sony. Listen, I have a smart TV in my bedroom that has Roku built in, and that's fine. But guess what? My TV downstairs, my main TV, so Ann and I've got a 75-inch 4K TV hanging above the fireplace. And I love the TV, and it is a smart TV too. It's got built-in stuff. But guess what? I don't trust the built-in stuff on TVs. So when it counts, I get a separate Roku player. And they're cheap. I would suggest, instead of worrying about which TV you buy, who cares? Just get the best television. Who cares what its smart TV capabilities is? Because I think it's still best. You're still going to get your best, most powerful experience if you get a standalone player. And for me, that's the Roku. It's snappy, it's fast, it's high quality, and you don't have to worry about the internals of it being built into the television. So I got a smart TV with Roku built into it for my bedroom, and that's fine for my bedroom. But for my main viewing thing, which is downstairs, that I'm going to get the external standalone player. I just find it to be a better experience. It's not expensive, and you just plug it into the HDMI port and away you go. I just find that to be the better experience myself. So instead of thinking about needing to go out and get a Sony TV instead, just get yourself a Roku player, plug it in, and you'll be completely happy. You'll be absolutely happy. All right. Arcast6 writes, had the chance to watch Jojo Rabbit, Dr. Sleep, and The King on Net. And that's a nice triple header. Enjoyed them all. Had a great weekend for movies. And again, guys, Dr. Sleep is not doing well at the box office. And that is a crying, bloody shame, because this is a good movie. And listen, I'm not saying it should be a $1 billion movie or a $500 million movie, but this movie, Dr. Sleep, you owe it to yourself to watch. It is a good, quality, entertaining, little scary when it needs to be movie that I thought was just terrific. And it needs the support. Now, Jojo Rabbit right now for me is the best movie of the year. It might get replaced by something else between now and the end of December, but right now for me, Jojo Rabbit's the best movie of the year. So get out and support both of these films. Terry Giordano writes, sorry guys, had a bit of a jump. Where's Terry? There's Terry Giordano. Terry writes, I'm like a kid in a candy store today with launch of Disney Plus because of Rob. I'm going to have to go out and get a 4K TV simply to watch Star Wars in this format. By the way, it's difficult today. to find a TV that's not 4K. I was in Best Buy about a week and a half ago, and even in their like discount TV section, it's like I felt like 80% of the TVs in there were 4K. So you can get 4K TV today for very cheap. Like hell, I got the one in our bedroom, which is a nice little size for a bedroom. I got a 45-inch TV for the bedroom, all right? Or is it 55? Let's go with 45. It might have been 55. Anyway. And it's 4K. It's got a built-in Roku, which again, I don't really care, but it's got a built-in Roku 4K. I got that for $300. $300 for that. So yeah, today is a good day to upgrade if you care about that stuff, Terry. So I'm glad you got that. All right, Michael Wells writes, Disney Plus is great. I have spoken. Again, that's going to be the new catchphrase. I love that line. Love it, and it only works because it's coming from the voice of Nick Nolte. If it was coming from somebody else's voice, I don't know that it would have worked well, but I have spoken coming from Nolte's mouth is great. Sean Anthony writes, can Disney survive on PG-13 content? I mean, I'm going to go back and watch all the stuff I grew up with, but in the long run, can Disney Plus make it? Absolutely. 1,000%. Star Wars is all PG or PG-13 plus. Marvel is all PG or PG-13 plus. All the biggest movies financially in history are PG-13 whatever. I mean, can it exist on? Absolutely it can. It 1,000% can. It doesn't need R-rated stuff to have longevity or have long lifespan at all. It 100% can. And by the way, it creates a really nice little division between Disney Plus and Hulu. Because now, like they're saying they're moving all the FX stuff over to Hulu, not visual effects like FX the network. They're moving all FX stuff over to Hulu. Hulu's already got a bunch of original stuff. The FX teams are going to be producing stuff exclusively for Hulu. You're going to get two really nice services there, but can Disney Plus survive alone without R-rated material? Absolutely. R-rated material would be the least watched stuff anyway. Depending on from circumstance to circumstance, but overall, it would be the least watched stuff. So absolutely, Sean, absolutely can survive on PG-13 content, no doubt. All right, Doshi writes, they actually took off the Michael Jackson episode from The Simpsons. Also, I've experienced a few times saying cannot connect to Disney Plus. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, Doshi. A lot of people experiencing technical problems. Even I had them this morning. Didn't last night, thankfully, when I watched Mandalorian. I had heard that they were going to take away the Michael Jackson episode. Again, I wouldn't have taken it off, much like the other stuff we were talking about, but I get why they did. I wouldn't have myself. I would have left it on, but I completely understand where they're coming from taking it off, unfortunately. All right. Sam, thoughts on The Good Place? I like it. My wife loves it. It's my wife's like number 1 or number 2 favorite show on television right now. Exvo Artex writes, Earth 1 Batman will be on Crisis on Infinite. I doubt it. Who knows? Maybe, but I doubt it. Eric writes, hey guys, really like the first episode of The Mandalorian, but do you guys think we will get a once and for all statement on whether or not Boba Fett died in the pit or if he got out? I don't see how that's important. Especially in relation to this show. I don't see how it's important. I'm trying to think of what I can and cannot say. I'm going to say nothing right now, Eric, because I don't want to say something that might potentially tip off something that might happen down the road. So all I'm going to say is I don't think it's important for them to do it. It's absolutely not important to the story of The Mandalorian whatsoever. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that because, I don't want to tip anything that might give some indication one way or the other about what might or might not be coming. So anyway, there's that. All right. Claudius Charles writes, have you had the chance to check out Netflix's Raising Dion starring Alicia Wainwright and Michael B. Jordan? No. I've heard different things. Anne has watched the whole series, the whole season. She loved it. Then I talked to my buddy Matt and he hated it. So I don't know. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. Not because I have any problem with it, but just because I got too much other stuff that is I'm desperately trying to keep up with, and I don't have a lot of time for TV, unfortunately. I maybe have time to watch one episode of something a day, and that is simply not enough to be able to watch all the shows that are out there. So unfortunately, I probably won't be watching it, but I'll give you my wife's review. My wife loves it and thinks it's great. So there's that. Dylan Muscetilio writes, do studios pay theaters to market their movies? Yes. It's all different arrangements. That's too basic of an answer, but generally speaking, yes, but it's more complicated than that. Greg Mack writes, oh my God, just done watching The Mandalorian. Freaking amazing. I love it. Also, love your show too, John. Well, thank you so much, Greg, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a very, very strong start for it. And let's see where things go. Hopefully they can keep up the momentum. I agree with Rob. There are some issues with the directing of the episode, but that's to be expected from somebody directing the first thing they've ever directed with actors in a real set and in a real environment. I think it's great that they're working out those kinks now, and I think that's just going to make for something better down the road. Let's see. Marie Seifring writes, thoughts on the movie Gone Baby Gone? Thanks. It's brilliant. Brilliant movie. Love that movie. I've talked about the movie often on this show, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love Gone Baby Gone. All right, Jeff Jones writes, back from my Spain Camino movie The Way hiking trip after 1.5 months of hiking. Really? Last week on A Broken Foot, I am back. Missed your show. You did a 1.5 month hike? Isn't that the same hike thing? There was a movie that came out recently about that where I think it's Charlie Sheen goes and does a hike that his son who had died was going to take or something like that. Anyway, that sounds like an epic kind of pilgrimage, Jeff. I hope you had a good time. That's impressive, dude. Color me impressed, and it's good to have you back, my friend. All right, Dakota Chrisup writes, John, have you seen the teaser for Pixar Soul? Yep, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Jesse writes, I'm interested in The Mandalorian, but with these issues brought up today, do you think it would be better to wait until Fridays and do a double feature? I suspect that all these issues will probably be resolved by later today. I suspect. But it's also not a bad idea if you want to wait and do a quick back. Because listen, I'm going to tell you, the first episode does feel very short. Like when you take out the opening credits and the ending credits, you've got about 37 minutes. So you know what, Jesse, it might not be the worst idea to wait, but I mean, I don't know. It's The Mandalorian. I would jump on and watch as soon as possible. I mean, if you want to watch Dark Side, Light Side today, you definitely should watch Mandalorian first. So I'd say it's a coin toss. I think there's arguments for both, but I think you'll find that probably later today, you'll find that most of those issues got resolved. I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess. All right. Suthius writes, where do we go? Suthius writes, currently snowing in Virginia, sunny 70 yesterday. It is crazy how fast weather can change, man. Nick writes, over under 50% Sonic redesign was a PR stunt. Of course it was a PR stunt. It absolutely was a PR stunt. Nick writes, making Sonic look bad on purpose is a stretch. Well, oh no, whether that was done on purpose, I don't know. Look, they both look utterly fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, the new one is better, but they both still look fucking ridiculous. I mean, that's because the Sonic character looks fucking ridiculous. It is what it is. But this one looks a little bit better. It is all a PR stunt. But do I think they purposely did something that fans wouldn't like at first? No, I don't think so. I could be wrong about that, and you could totally be onto something, but I don't think so. Adam K writes, saw Cold Pursuit and is surprised at how good it was. Which one is Cold Pursuit again? Hold a second. Isn't that the one with the girls' pursuit? Let me bring it up here. Oh, it's the Liam. No, I was thinking of the one with Reese Witherspoon. What was the name of that one again? Anyway, the Liam Neeson one. I didn't watch the Liam Neeson one. I don't know why I didn't either, but I never got around to watching it. But I've heard it's good, so now I'm hearing from you it was good as well. Okay, last couple of questions here, guys, and we got to wrap it up here today. We've already gone overtime. I'm trying to keep the show to 2 hours now. Anyway, Dan O. Channel writes, I loved Mandalorian. I really respect the decision to not drop the whole season at once. I can't wait to watch it weekly. Dropping it weekly is better. It just is. Now listen, I'm a binger, so I get the appeal of dropping the whole season once and binging, but it creates a lot of problems. Like, for instance, like Game of Thrones, like one of the things that made Game of Thrones the cultural phenomenon is everybody would watch one episode 1 week and have all week to talk about that episode. And then the next episode would drop the following week. And then everybody would have all week to talk about the next episode. And on. And you built organic fan bases and things like that. And you talk about Game of Thrones while it's on for its season for 3 months straight. 4 months straight, depending on if they have to break. 4 months straight. What happens with the binge shows? Okay, Daredevil Season 2 dropped. Great. Nobody was talking about Daredevil Season 2 4 days after it dropped. Nobody was talking about it anymore. It was gone. It was just gone. Nobody was talking about Stranger Things Season 3 a week after it dropped. It was done. Had 1 week to have a life, and then it was gone. And it's just so, and plus now you've got these pressures from people that I got to binge the whole thing. I've got to stay up all night and watch all 10 hours and blah, blah, or else I'm going to be behind. I'm going to get spoiled and I won't be able to be a part of the conversation. Listen, I'm a binger, so I get it. Dropping episodes weekly is absolutely 100% the best way to do it. And that goes against my nature as a binger to say, but it's true. Now we have all week. Well, in this case, we have until Friday to talk about, season 1. Plus, everybody has time now to hear all the buzz. Because what has also happened with a lot of shows is, like, the first 4 episodes come out and everybody's talking about a show for a full month because now there's been 4 episodes. And now people go, okay, now they just got 4 episodes to get caught up on and now they jump on. Didn't happen with Daredevil Season 2. Didn't happen with Punisher Season 2 because what happens? No one's talking about it after 3 or 4 days. It's done. And people who didn't get on board with it immediately never get brought on board. It is the better way to do it. And I agree with you 100%. While I'm a binger and I dig that stuff, it was 100% the right decision to release their stuff weekly. Tall Dude 3231 writes, we have you outnumbered 4-1. I like those odds. What a badass. Can't wait to hear your thoughts more as the show goes on. It's going to be exciting. It is going to be exciting. Remember, again, a little bit later, me and Christian are going to be talking spoilers of The Mandalorian a little bit later today on Dark Side, Light Side. Make sure you join us then. All right, Min Tran writes, rewatching The Crazy Ones. Nice. Love the show. C. Robin Williams' performance is good, but bittersweet. Did you watch it? Now, let me just make 100% sure that I'm thinking about the exact same one. Oh, no. No. This I didn't watch. Isn't this is the one where Sarah Michelle Gellar is his daughter or something, right? You know what? No, I didn't see. I was thinking of something. This is why I looked this stuff up, because I was thinking of something completely different. No, I didn't watch it, but I've always been intrigued to watch it. And I guess it would be bittersweet seeing it at this point because of what happened with Robin. J Master writes, hey, John, have you ever watched Disney's Secretariat? It's based on the true story, and I've watched this movie so many times, and I love it. I think I did. Hold on a second. It's the one with Superman's mom, if I'm thinking of the right one. Hold on a second. Let me bring up IMDb. If I'm thinking of the right one, it's the one with Diane Lane. And it is. Okay, yes. I enjoyed this movie. I'll be honest, and because of when it came out, I compared it a lot to Seabiscuit, and I kind of preferred Seabiscuit. But yeah, I like Secretariat. I thought it was quite good. Min Tran writes, final question of the day, guys. Comes to us from Min Tran, who writes, do you think Disney Plus problems will be okay by this weekend, or should I wait till later to get the network? I'll be honest with you, Min, I think it's going to be better by later today. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting when I go downstairs and open up Disney Plus, I'm expecting it's probably going to be working already. Now, I don't know that. I don't know. But I suspect if not already working fine, I'll bet it'll be fine by later today. I just kind of feel like it will be. So I don't know that for sure, but I think we'll just double check in on it, but I think we're going to be fine. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of today's show. Special thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett, who is here offering his incredible insight and observations on all the things that we got going on here. Thanks to all of you guys for making this show a part of your day. And a special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the super chats, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel while we were doing it. And all of us here, thank you very, very much for that. Again, don't forget, guys, a little bit later today at 2 p.m., me and Christian Harloff talking dark side, light side. Obviously going to be talking a lot of Mandalorian and taking your other questions as well. So make sure you guys come back and join us for that as well. Okay, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again tomorrow. And until next time, bye-bye.